for you all. Okay, Jin is D tier. Jin is D tier. Jin is slow. Jin does absolutely nothing. Jin, sadly, reads as a blue-red hero where you should just be playing Kai'Sa. His text reads less than arguably what Rumble's does in a lot of circumstances. And Rumble was only good because arguably it was in a half-decent color combination. The problem is, why would you play Jin when you could play Kai'Sa or Rumble? Now, Rumble didn't get any support, so don't worry. My problem and my concern with Jin is, what were the big cards, right, that came out in Unleashed? And let's add that context, right? So let's pull over. Good old Piltover Archive. Let's go blue there. We want to go into Unleashed. Actually, there's a better way I could be doing this, but it's fine. It's fine. What were the big cards that came out, right? Upstage Comedy was one. We got the Beans, but Jin's not playing the Beans. We got Jin himself. But realistically, like Smite's pretty good. And then the blue cards, we got like Downstage Comedy, Eclipse. Again, Eclipse doesn't trigger. We got Turn to Dust, but that's not really doing much of anything. We got the Sprite. Sprite Burst is pretty good and triggers Jin. Okay. We got Hui. Hui's not really a Jin card. You could. I think I've made my point at this moment in time. Jin basically doesn't work with half of the stuff that came out. So why would you play Jin? There is genuinely few reasons to make it work unless you're going for a metal card. And I think, honestly speaking, it's just, that's what he is. Is he good enough to be a metal card hero? I might need to play more. My biggest problem with Jin, and this isn't actually Jin's fault, this is a play design thing. They could have made Jin himself maybe like a pretty mediocre legend. Like, this is pretty mediocre. Like, this legend ability is super mediocre, right? The way they could have made him really powerful, right, is you could have chosen any of these modes as many times, up to 4 times, right? So you go 5 and you get to do 6 to a unit at base, or you could do 3 to 1 unit at base and 3 to another unit at base, right? You could kill a Karthus and something else. Or you could just make a bunch of units really small for LeBlanc decks, kill the Karthus at the base, and then smash in, and they only get like, they don't even get to trade with anything, and you just go kill, kill, kill. Cool. And then draw a card after the fact, right? If you could have done this, Jin would have actually been a lot more playable. The problem is, Cut and Call is just so It just doesn't actually benefit. You have to spend 5, frankly speaking, to kind of kill a 6 might unit. Right? That's how that works at a battlefield, right? It's 1 more, no power, no, which is fair, than a Singularity, but that kills 2 at any location. It's not an apples to oranges comparison. We all understand this. That's the biggest thing, honestly, against Jin. If this signature spell was busted, Jin would actually be far more of a metal card hero. But as it currently stands, there's not a huge reason to play Jin. I'm not a big fan of it. And I'm obviously going to talk a lot more about the new Legends chat, by the way, than the old ones. So for the time being, I can't in good faith recommend anybody plays Jin. Unless you want to enjoy the legend, he's a legend you mained in League of Legends. There is still a lot of play. You can just slot in a lot of what Kai'Sa was doing beforehand. You still do get to play like decent to good cards. You're just going to struggle with the top decks and the meta decks. So, yeah, that's where it is. All right, who was the next one? Ezreal. Righty then, where am I putting Ezreal? I'm putting Ezreal. Top Cut Day 2. Top Cut Day 2. Ezreal still has a lot of the utility that he had prior. He hasn't actually really gone too far down. Control Ezreal is still viable. Good is like another statement. I don't know if I would necessarily say that. Remember, this is me going, I think a pretty decent Ezreal player could make top cut. I think they could easily, I think a good Ezreal player at a regional qualifier, or could win a skirmish, or could make top 64, right? And with a little bit of luck, they could maybe make top 8. But realistically, I'm thinking this is where they go. Yeah, I would agree with you, KK. Hello, No Rock. Lovely to see you as well. Also, lovely to see you, Heather, for the first time chatter. And everybody else. I think, yeah, I would agree. It definitely does make him stronger. The problem is the top decks have now modified and changed to the point where I don't think Ezreal has so much more power. Now, there might be a Heedless Resurrection build that I'm not aware of. That could be real. Obviously, I do think in Ezreal now, I would be playing 2-2-3 Watchers. Oh, no, not Watchers. Not Watcher, Purple Watcher, which isn't... Mind Splitter. Got there. Just so you can trigger and you can start doing some really gross stuff with that, as well as also with his signature spell. Like, I think you could do a lot of really powerful things with Ezreal. I don't necessarily know if Ezreal has all the technology to actually overcome the boogeymen of Aurora, but I think a good player probably can pilot that in spots, and also the players that struggle. So yeah, Ezreal's B tier for me. Right, who's next? Blue wanted Poppy. All right, Blue. Poppy. Poppy is going in top cut dating. Now, I know a lot of people are like, but it's Aurora! It's so broken! Yellow-orange doesn't have a lot of draw. And when I mean it doesn't have a lot of draw, it's just got cards that cycle. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. The Poppy herself is actually a pretty strong one. I think you would play yellow Poppy in my opinion, but I think orange Poppy would be fine. Her signature spell is also very, very powerful at slowing other decks down. It's double power. Little sad. But it's still a card that it's still a deck that I think could perfectly make a top cut day 2. Reasonably good Poppy players will be able to do that. And the signature spell, I'm not going to lie, is doing a lot of weightlifting. It doesn't have access to all the purple cards, so what does it make up for? With a really good signature spell, cycle a bunch, and if you get a little bit lucky, you'll make a deep run. You're not going to be triggering the actual Legend's ability, so you're kind of just playing a yellow-orange Legend for yellow-orange, but your sig is really good. Any more questions, chat? I think I explained Poppy really well. It is a blank Legend, yes. Yeah. Okie dokie. Who's next? Yeah, it would be bottom of B. It's probably going to be bottom of B. I'm not going to put her down in Metal Card because realistically, I think good Poppy players will just make day 2 based on the idea that Aurora and Elder Dragon. You've actually seen people build... I mean, hey, are they playing the Aurora builds or are they playing more of a value-based build? I mean, I'm sure there's ways of doing it. It's just, is that good or not? If you can draw a card off of it, Aurora Armory, okay. I mean, that still puts it in B tier. And it doesn't change me, and it's still bottom. Because I think there are other ones that are better. In that same color combination. Can you figure out which one I mean? Probably pretty easily. We'll get there. Who was next? Heather asking for Diana. Diana, where are we putting the girl that I will be maining for most of set 2? Is she actually really broken? Am I biased? So I'm putting her in top 8? Is she more of a top cut? Is she actually kind of bad and poo? Or is it good luck, good luck? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm being real. She actually goes next to Ezreal. And I don't actually think, sadly, she's better than Ezreal. Now, the two purple blue decks at the moment, this motherfucker will be in a different spot. I'm just going to let you know that one now. They are still purple. They still get to play a lot of the good purple cards. Even post-ban, there's still a bunch of really good ones. Now, why is she maybe better and or worse than Ezreal? Great question. She doesn't, let's say, draw cards. What she does let you do is cheat on energy, which has been already shown to kind of make legends that we think are kind of bad, or color combinations, wink wink where my mouse is at the moment, surprisingly good. Actually, kind of explosive. Problem is, unlike this motherfucker, you have to do it in a showdown. There are ways of abusing it, there are ways of min-maxing this, and you have to do this as and when you can, meaning you might play spells in really weird circumstances. A legend does help. Blue Diana and being able to play that on curve consistently is really, really good. Only on the draw. Being able to trigger the ability every time, really good. Problem is, this says draw, and in the color combination of blue-purple, there's a lot more ways of drawing. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Personally, at the moment, a lot of people are switching to a Hui build. I personally think against Aurora decks, you actually have to just go hyper-aggressive, cross your fingers, and pray that you just get there. But I mean, there's like a few different variants. If you're interested in my full Diana breakdown, we're going to be doing a full stream next week, so get following the channel if you are interested in seeing that. There will be links going onto the YouTube, so if you're interested, go give me a subscription over on the YouTube channel. But that's going to be a next week thing where we're going to be doing a big Diana stream and maybe Diana games in general, because we've already concluded that Aurora is insane. So, with that said though, Diana is still very powerful, very good. Her signature spell is very strong. It's not as good as Ezreal's, arguably, and you can't do a lot of the other shenanigans. But she's good. She's good. She's good. And a good Diana player, like myself, would be hoping to make day 2 even top cut with her. You are going to need to run a little bit good, but it's possible. It's viable. Absolutely. Okay, what was the next one that we had? Cheese Doctor asked for Jin. Oh, good to know, Liv. Thank you for telling me. Ranked reset happened. Nice. Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai. Where are we putting the Void Mummy that we have become to love on this channel? Where is our Void Mummy going? Where is it? Also, hello, first-time chatter. Welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you. Obviously, remember, she could make top 8. Is she still there? She's now a... No, she's actually here. Arguably, this is about where she is. These decks are actually pretty high on the list, in my opinion, from how I've got things vibed out in my head. Rek'Sai might move a little bit. Why do I think Rek'Sai is still pretty good? Not as good as she used to be, but still pretty good. Why? Offers a huge amount of redundancy. Doesn't really mind about all the decks that are going to go hard hating into Aurora. You don't play Hook, by the way. Has a huge amount of removal and redundancy. Increased card draw. And is very aggressive. Meaning that even cards like Elder Dragon kind of don't matter a lot of the time to Rek'Sai. Because you just go, bleh, make points. You just stare at the Aurora player and go, well, I'm already at 6. You've got an Elder Dragon and I've got infinite things going on. So, hope you've got like 2 Flurry of Blades. And then they don't. Because it's realistic, and you also draw a shitload of cards, and suddenly you as the Rek'Sai player have so much redundancy, you're actually in a good spot. Now the problem is, there's another deck in S tier, which I don't think is good for Rek'Sai, and we'll get onto that one, but it's arguably the other big S tier terrifier at the moment. So, Rek'Sai's fine, she's good. And you can definitely make a deep run with her. Is she as good as she was? No, but things have drastically changed compared to where she was beforehand. Rek'Sai was historically always good into Aurora. The problem is it's kind of 1 or 2 of the other decks. So, yeah. Okie dokie. Majestic, go for wanted. Pike! Pike. The new, brand new, red, purple. Fury Chaos. Historically, Fury Chaos has been S tier, right? One of the best color combinations. But obviously, with some new stuff coming in, it does change the opinion of some stuff. But, I mean, let's be real, is he really that bad? And I know I was wrong about Annie. So, is Pike maybe just actually, by default, should be here? Or is it actually secretly trash? He's a metal card hero. He's actually a metal card hero. And let me explain why he's a metal card hero. You're playing the best combination. You're playing arguably the second best combination now in set 3. Historically, the best combination of colors. But the legend ability causes you to do a lot of jumping through hoops, right? Let me just pull it up. Let's pull Pike up. Let's pull Pike up. Where is he? Let's pull him up. Let's pull him up. Now I've got to go to page 2, right? Let me fully pull him up and read it, right? Description. Okay, so 1 exhaust, return a friendly unit at a battlefield to its owner's hand, player gold, gear exhausted, right? So, you have to play 1. You have to return a unit at a battlefield, meaning you have to have control of a battlefield. Not insanely difficult to do, but now with not so fast and fight, well, no, now with fight or flight now being gone, it is sometimes a little bit harder, especially against certain hold decks, and there'll be big things on battlefields, or if your thing gets removed, your player will be able to know. You also can't do this at reaction speed, meaning you can't put something there and choose to do it on your opponent's turn. This has to be done on your turn, meaning you will have to return something, and then if you're going to hide it or replay it, your opponent has information about your hand. Meaning if you're going to do certain effects, unless it's got ambush, the other thing is the gold coming in exhausted, meaning that you're not immediately able to kind of cash in that gold. I think, honestly, Pike would be a little bit better if you could immediately cash in. If it didn't come in exhausted. If it said, player gold token, meaning it came in untapped, you could then immediately cash that gold in and play a hidden card. There is a world where you can then now suddenly go, okay, cool, I then reveal this hidden, I get to do Teemo or Pike himself or whatever, right? Cool, I win this. On my turn, 1, return. I mean, honestly, how insane does the card suddenly read if this had reaction? And this could be done at any time. Suddenly, the versatility of Pike goes through the roof. The problem with how he has been made, it is the most nerfed version. I low-key feel like we got into this state because Draven. If Draven wasn't just so oppressively busted, yeah, it'd be fine. Insert Flappy. Also, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. So Pike for me is a C tier hero. He's got like a lot of potential, but his legend ability just isn't doing much in the grand scale of where we're going into a metagame, which is going to be dominated by big, impressive things, trying to control board states where you can't really pull off. You want to either inject heavily in and force your opponent to have to play into you. Pike kind of wants to go good, Pike wants to go in, pull out, and then go back in. Losing fight or flight killed Pike. So, that's Pike. That's where I sit with Pike. Alrighty then. What was our next one? Majestic go for... Unfortunately agreed. Yeah, I do know they were all done. I think Pike was noted as a result of Draven's success. Maybe they also didn't realize that Annie was... I mean, granted, remember, like, they didn't realize Annie was busted. So... And by the way, Annie is higher than C tier. Just putting that out there. I'll put that out there. Right. What's the next one? Yeah, Smite does hurt Phoenix's cheese. You're absolutely right. You are right. I mean, it will kind of hurt Rek'Sai a little bit. So, I mean, hey, that's... But you can also play Smite in the Rek'Sai sideboards. What's our next one? Set. Blue asks for Set. All right, Set. Where is Set going? Well, I already kind of alluded to it. It's better than Poppy. Set is B. Set is high B. Actually, where am I putting him? Okay, Set's undetermined. He's B. All right. Set is B. He's higher than Poppy. Would I say Set is... Honestly, maybe I put it here. I think Set is better than Diana. Maybe worse than Ezreal. Yeah. Make sure, chat, put the legends you want me to review next after the next ones, because if I go through the list, I'll just come back and ask you, so get them in so you can get in the order you want. Also, my music is stopped! Where's the music gone? Yeah. So, Set is going to be in B tier. Now, why do I put Set in B tier and I'm like, actually, Set's pretty good, and I go Poppy is a lot lower? Two good reasons. There's a bunch of ways to buff units, and if you can build an Aurora deck that buffs units, you're in a pretty good spot. You can play Aurora Set and actually have arguably a better Poppy deck. Now, your signature spell, is it as good as Poppy? It's pretty good, but maybe not as good. But your ability you can actually trigger and save your units. The other thing that I will argue about Set himself, Set is actually not forced to play Aurora while being in this sort of build. Set can actually still be played in a mid-range to an aggressive style. I'd argue Set is one of the most mid-ranged. Would I always put him mid-range, or would I always put him into Aurora? I'll leave that for the actual expert Set players. The fact is, Set has options and versatility, which means now when you present and sit down against a Set player, the opponent will have to assume maybe you're playing aggro, maybe you're playing Aurora. That will affect how they're going to, in theory, pick their battlefields, as well as also think about how they're going to pick with their mulligan. At least this is assuming a thinking player at a high-level event. If you're down at your Nexus Knights, your opponent might have not even think about it, and they go, oh, Set, that's cool, and then move on. But regardless, Set is still really good. He has versatile playstyles. You don't have to play Aurora for him. He still has really good support. His legend ability is still very, very good. And high-level Set players like Colin will still probably dominate. I'm just going to be real. I'm going to be real, right? So that's where I sit with Set. I really like Set. He's still really good. Lilia. Where would I put Lilia? Are we finally getting an S or an A tier? Maybe B tier. Maybe we're really making a big pack here. Is she actually not as good as I think? Or would I go into D tier because she's actually only really a signature spell and that's it? I'm borderline between A and B. I've heard rumors that she's actually surprisingly good. So actually, you know what? I was between the two. It's either going to be absolute top of B or bottom of A. And I'd rather go bottom of A because I've seen some of the most absolute disgusting aggressive sprite deck. Arguably better than a future one that we'll talk about in the same color combination. But Lilia is just disgustingly redundant. So much redundancy has been built in. She also has arguably the best signature spell now in the game. And it's just so insane. She has a lot of really, really, really good matchups. She still gets to play a bunch of counter spells. Her signature spell is arguably the best counter spell. But any decks that hold or stun suddenly kill them. This deck will be playing something that's anti this. You want to know what that card is, chat? It's a purple card. It's on this screen right now. Vex, explicitly new purple Vex, literally reads, and I know it's got some text here, but I'll be honest, I'm a dyslexic. Let me actually translate for you. When an opponent plays a Lilia Legend, they get fucked. Fucked meaning they don't get to do anything. Interesting. Crazy. Crazy that they printed that on a card. I don't know how they did that. Why would Riot do this? But honestly, Lilia is like phenomenal. Like phenomenal that they would even make a legend like this. It's so versatile. It's a token generator, but it's something that's ethereal. It works beautiful for Lilia. It's very reminiscent in another way to Victor, but in a completely different playstyle. She wants to be a tempo deck in the truest form. I love the color combination. But if you play against a certain deck, it's basically a 10% win rate. But you have to your opponent, like, just puts a bullet and just doesn't get anywhere. And that's a chance that they go to the toilet and they don't get back, right? And then time gets called and the judge doesn't dare. There's also a chance your Vex player keeps playing a spell fast and you signature spell, signature spell, signature spell 3 turns in a row and your opponent just goes, oh, I lose. And you go, thank God you don't know how to play the game. Right? They keep going for a stack deck and the Lilia player goes, no. And then they just go, cool, I'll play this. And they go, no. And they go, oh, okay, you'll go. And then the Lilia player just is like looking at themselves going, okay, blue Lilia, let's move. Let's just keep doing stuff. Oh! So we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a world. I think there's a way. Hello, pleb leader. Hello, sheepy. It's lovely to see everybody. How are we all doing? Hello, first time chatter, Silent Storm. Tier list is upside down. Ah! Lilia can cope with $70 unchecked power. There's enough remove to get rid of X fairly often too. Lilia just has to tech it. Yeah, it does. And I think they should. Lilia also doesn't really fold to Aurora decks. So there's worlds. Like there's super worlds where Lilia can beat. This is why I put her there. Right? Cool. All right. Well, let me just scroll up a little bit. Okay, so Shield Summer asks for Lilia. Mystical Gopher asked for Darius. Righty then. So, Darius, another red legend, red yellow legend. Where would I put Darius? Is he secretly good? No. Is he really bad? No. Is he a metal card hero? Is he actually maybe top 8 worthy? No. Is he maybe just day 2 top cut worthy? Metal card, top cut. Metal card, top cut. I'm going to be real. He's worse than Rek'Sai. And I know some people out there will be like, that's sacrilege. I can't believe that. Rek'Sai has so much redundancy now that she can fight into this metagame that we're going into. Darius kind of goes, I need to win the game really fast and be hyper aggressive, or I lose. And remember, we're going into set 3 meta. We're not in set 2, set 3. The previous meta also was not taking for aggro Darius. Aggro Darius did really well. So he's worse than Poppy. I'm gonna put it probably bottom. He might slip into high C tier. He might just be bottom of B tier. We'll see how we go throughout this. Ultimately speaking, Darius is, I'm going to try and play the most aggressive red deck that you can play in the format, play a bunch of tokens, and now I have a little bit of draw. And what do I mean by a little bit of draw? Let me just show you one very specific card that Darius got open to in this brand new set. And it's going to be one of the very few cards that he plays. This card makes it so much better. You play this also in Rek'Sai. Yeah. Shadow's Call is really good. Solid card. Very solid card. And it makes honestly, Darius a lot more. Like, it really does. It means that a bunch of random tokens that you just spewed out, and then suddenly you go, oh, okay, I'm going to draw 2 more cards. It means you get to make more. You don't play Hook, by the way. Like, this is just, like, all-in token aggro, and either you win the game on, like, turn 4, turn 5, or your opponent stabilized and you've probably lost. I watched a game of a friend of mine playing Darius and another friend playing Ezreal. And once the Darius player fell a little bit behind, it felt unwinnable. Because it was. There's a lot of power that you can suddenly burst out, but you only normally have like 2 extra bullets at most in the chamber before you're normally completely out of hand and you have no way of actually recovering. You also aren't playing purple, so you can't like make both players discard their hands and then draw 4. There's no real big comeback mechanic. Darius is fine, but yeah, he needs some more. Who's our next one? Our next one comes from Big Jack. And Jack wants Renata. All right, Renata. Where is she? All right, Renata. Right. Has forever been in D good luck tier. Has she climbed? Has yellow-blue finally got good enough? Let's just very quickly have a look at the yellow-blue cards, right? Has she finally gotten good enough? Got things like Eclipse. Got things like Crescent Strike, Turn to Dust, Sprite Burst, right? Hui, Diana, Sprite Fountain. Okay, these are all really good cards. Sprite Queen even. Blue LeBlanc. How many of these cards did I just mention that actually work with the Renata legend? Like, how many of them actually do any of that? Chat. Can I be real for a second? Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Nothing helped. She's still D tier. She's still D tier. She's still D tier. Nothing helped her. Nothing. Renata got no support. Still forever probably going to be the worst blue-yellow unit. Legend. There's even less she could do than before. Other colors all got stuff that really benefited and made her more powerful. Renata, I'm like genuinely, like, I just went through blue cards, right? Let's look at yellow cards. Okay, so, Soul Harvest? Shadow's cool. You got Ruination. Honestly, she got Ruination, and this was kind of the only card. But with the meta we're going into, with the Sudden deck just playing infinite Death Kneel stuff and a bunch of other redundancy, I'm sorry. Renata is still really, really not good. 07s in the chat, honestly, for Renata. 07 chat. But we won't be seeing her on any top tables. God bless those soldiers that really try for it. Anyway, on to more lighter news, because I know it can't get worse than Renata. Maybe a little bit, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Pleb leader wants Ahri. Okay, Ahri. Where do we put Ahri? Is she actually really good now because green, blue is suddenly good? No. No, she's not. She's not that. Is she maybe a top cut legend? No. No. Is she really, really bad and unplayable? No. No. Is she actually secret best deck? No. No. She is a metal card hero. But forever, Ahri has been one of those legends where she sometimes gets really good depending on the metagame. Arguably, Ahri is really good in an environment where unit combat is the most important thing we can be doing. Are we moving into an environment where unit combat is the most important thing we can be doing? No. We're playing either mega big units or we're playing a lot of redundancy units. The combat between the units doesn't actually matter. Also, the fact is, trying to hold on this metagame is either you need to just have a lot of cards that you don't mind, and they kind of all do the same thing, looking towards like Yi, or you play things that just don't really care about whatever, and you have so much redundancy. I'm just gonna do that. You either figure it out or you don't. Ultimately, at this moment in time, Ahri didn't really get a huge amount of love and support. There are arguably now better decks in the color combination, and now that I actually look at it, she is the worst one in blue and green. Worst legend in the color combination. Sorry about that for the waifu lovers out there. I am sorry. You guys got kind of messed up. Yeah. She's still got a cool design. I'm not going to pretend she's not, but there's nothing else to say, man. I'm sorry. There's just nothing. There's nothing. I'm sorry, pleb leader. I'm sorry. I mean, the thing is, I'm still saying you can maybe make day 2. She is better than Pike, for sure. Oh my god, Ahri into Pike matchup. That's a dream thing for Ahri. Beyond that, yeah. Artski. Hello, Artski. How are you doing? You want XPE. All right, XPE. XPE, brand new legend. Let's just quickly read him, just so everybody in the chat is familiar. XPE, coming in, brand new legend. An exciting one that offers a brand new mechanic as well in the game. Where is he? Oh no, orange. Orange, not yellow. Orange. 2 spell slonger, green Ahri, blue buff, 1 conquer, plus 8 points OTK. That's cope. That's a little bit of cope. So so Yi, or XPE as he is known as a legend, when you have 6 XP, all your units have +1, and when you get to 11, all your units enter ready. So you have to work for XP. How do you get XP? Well, different cards such as, not Nidalee, but the new Orangey come in, and when you conquer or hold, you get 2 XP. When he has 6, you get Ganking. So a lot of the abilities and cards will do this. The brand new signature spell that came out in Yi, which even non-XP Yi will be playing at least probably 1 to 2 of, simply because if you build a big unit, you get to action, choose a friendly unit, it deals damage equal to its might, split among enemy units at a battlefield. For each unit it kills, do this, gain 1 XP. So what the ability is, if you happen to be on defense and your opponent is coming into you, you can play this and you could deal, like, if your unit was a 6 might unit and then it goes up, it goes then to 8, playing the other Yi, not the XP Yi, other Yi, suddenly you get to then do 8 to whatever's coming in, or to the other battlefield, or maybe 3 to there and then 2 to the other. You could do a bunch. Not at base, it is only at battlefields, but it's an option. You can definitely do some stuff. XP Yi himself basically is the slow burn. You need to get really far and probably into the game, like turn 4, turn 5 realistically. Hopefully have conquered a few times or held, gain some experience, get in, and then once your unit's entering in ready, you're going to be incredibly difficult. Like, XP Yi has a great late game, not that. But how do we feel about him? D, C, B, A, S. Not S. Not D. Not A. Not B. Not B. High C. High C. High C. The problem with XP Yi is you either have to play Aurora and basically completely give up on the idea of really doing much. Now, honestly, if you're playing Aurora, it's probably a B tier deck. Yeah, it's probably a B tier deck because your brand new legend ability basically means you get to do very gross things. You're probably not really doing too much with the XP mechanic, but he's still going to be able to do a bunch of stuff. You've got a very good now orange unit that you can play, which you would play the new orange one, which means you at least have something you can do on turn 4 if you don't have a catalyst. Your signature spell is very solid for also having additional removal. But also, if you just want to play like a mid-range build or like a kind of an actual XP Yi true deck, you're still probably going to be playing, honestly, okay. Like, truly okay. So, I don't mind XP Yi. And obviously, as I said, once you get to 11 XP, you can kind of go off. You've got a very consistent thing to do on turn 2 on the play, or turn 2 on the draw as well, but realistically turn 2 on the play. You've got a bunch of versatility because you are still playing green-orange. You do still have counter spells and stuff. Your orange stuff is arguably a little bit worse unless you're playing the Aurora package, and then you kind of have a bunch of cards already to slot into every deck. You have removal with challenge. Yeah. I don't mind. I don't mind Yi. I think he's fine. He is not the best Yi in this tier list, but he's fine. He's solid. He's solid. He's solid. All right, chat. What was the next one? XP Yi. We then got Shield Summer asking for Lilia, which we already did. Okay, Ornn. I think, unless I've completely missed somebody's message, Ornn, I'm going to need a few more recommendations, chat. Okay, got No Rock asking for Leona, so we'll do that. All right, so Ornn, chat, I need to quickly grab some water and go to the toilet. Where do you think I'm going to place Ornn? Where is Ornn going to be going? Be back in a second. I need water, honestly. Ornn. About the aggro Ornn. My water. 1 second, just gonna look. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for waiting. All sorted. I like washed my hands and then realized I needed to reply to a bunch of texts. We're good. We're good. We're back. All right. YouTube video will now start now. All right. So on chat, on, where would I put on? How would I work on? He was previously D-class, right? Truly awful, terrible, not even worth playing. But I have already said, I believe he's above Ari. He's not even the, like, I think Ari is the worst one in this color combination. But then Lilia, I've said, is probably the best. So he's somewhere between the two. On is going to go here. I'm going to be putting him in top cut, day 2 tier. And he's actually, like, not even low. Like, I think he's slap bang right in the middle of the format. And why do I think I would put him here? So, Aggro Ornn is arguably one of the most aggressive decks in the format, but has a huge amount of resilience. You have a versatile sideboard. You get to, honestly, in the real aggro build, truly tap every single turn. We've already seen like 3 or 4 different styles just from the community, right, coming out. We've played into a few different decks on stream, and I've played a little bit off stream, and Ornn just seems to steamroll people. Brutalizer, being able to equip, Sprite Burst being an insane card for the deck. I'm truly not joking. Ornn is here, and he's like hit a party. You don't even really need to play his signature spells, which obviously, gear, which was obviously a big part of what he used to need. You don't have to go into big Ornn. You can kind of either play green or blue. I think both have reasonable spots. Blue means you get to go real big and have a late game threat. Green means you get to have redundancy and can just try and find extra things to just kind of get over the final line. And there's so many spots where Ornn is truly get to 6 and then you'll just blow people out. We've beaten Elder Dragons and other things. We've beaten Aurora decks with it. Ornn is truly here to party. Actually, yeah, I'm putting him here. Honest, I love playing this Ornn deck. This Ornn deck is so much fun. It's a very much a thinking man's deck. Yeah, I'm gonna put him here. Ornn's actually kind of good. Ornn's actually playable. He doesn't have a lot of, like, truly disgusting matchups. You do, low-key, kind of lose against certain decks, like a certain E deck that will be up here. Hint, hint. But ultimately speaking, I still think Ornn actually has a lot of technology behind him. The ability to always be able to accelerate and get your gears out, which in turn means you don't have to worry so much about actually going, am I going to do everything I can or can't do? The fact that you're going to be able to pay for early gears, things like Poro Snacks also powering up certain things, but also making it so you can have additional draw built into your deck just by default through playing the cards. There's just so much that works so well with it. So I love Ornn. I think Ornn is truly here, and Sprite Burst was arguably the card that really not broke him, but was really good. So yeah, Ornn, B tier, and a very good B tier deck. Where are we now? Going through the chat to see what the last one was. No Rock. Okay. No Rock wants to hear on Leona. All right. As if you've been a long-time friend, member of the channel, or if this is your first time, I am a big Leona fan. Leona is one of my mates, as is Diana. I want to have a separate tier, which is waifu tier, but I don't know if that's really fair. Leona has historically always been kind of in this territory. She's never really broken out of this spot, mainly because unit combat must matter. And if unit combat matters, Leona actually gets pretty good. In set 1, she was always kind of on the fringe. Yellow and green, especially the color combination. If you think about the other ones, they're all kind of doing some, well, Azir especially really broke out of the mold. A lot of yellow decks want to play things like Cull the Weak, which is one of the best removal spells in it. Leona can't really play it. So then you're more leaning on kind of less versatile, very direct ways of actually attacking your opponent. You arguably want to do it. Now, the philosophy and way that I've been playing Leona, if I very quickly can pull up my decks, which, and this is one that chat has helped me, so chat, take a bow. This is the build we're currently playing for Leona. Now, this is a deck that is still probably going to evolve massively. We are a big fan of Leona in the on this channel. This might not even be the correct one, but Yellow Vi has truly added a lot more versatility, as has Green Vex, right? So, and there's a chance that we do something else. We are still trying to play the Sona Shell, which gave the deck so much versatility and actual playability previously, but that might no longer be the case. We might actually just completely move. We might not even play Green Leona, or potentially Yellow Leona should be in the deck, or we cut her completely and we only play Green Leona. There's a lot of different things and moving parts. Leona herself, though, is still Leona. The legend ability is good, but it's not particularly broken. It's not got access to a lot of cards that really made it really good, and there was nothing... The new cards printed, like Back Off, Vex, Scuttle Crab, Vi, have made the deck a little bit better, but there is still like 2 or 3 forces pulling. Is the deck good enough? No, she's a C-tier deck. She is truly a C-tier deck. That does not mean, though, that you can't necessarily go make day 2 with Leona. Remember, what I'm saying is the average player will do this. I think the best player could make day 2 with Diana, but I don't actually necessarily think Leona herself is going to be that. Now, do I think she's better than Pyke? Yeah. And historically speaking, Ahri was always a pretty good matchup for Leona, because the buff kind of nullifies the minus, and then after the fact, once you're on the battlefield, it's a lot easier for Leona to actually hang around. So I actually think she's currently at the top of the medal card heroes. But is it going to go much further? Is she even better? Not really. Leona is going to struggle into the Aurora meta that we're facing into, and as I've already said a few times with all the orange decks so far, Leona's gonna not be doing great into this. Darius gets to play Color Week, which has historically always been a kill card for Leona, unless you have the Defy up, and then you have to play even weird ones. Yes, you're playing Scuttle Crab, but it's like, that doesn't necessarily fix everything for you, but you do get to see opponents' hands, and that does honestly make Leona a little bit better. But so do the other green decks. You're nowhere near going to be as fast or as consistent or even as resilient as arguably Lilia and Ornn. And then the other the purple-blue decks get to be aggressive or controlling, and they can probably beat you just by playing one Singularity. Unless you have your not so fast. There's like back and forths, obviously, as I've already mentioned. I sadly just don't think she is gotten enough support, and the metagame that we're going to be going into will mean that the average player will be doing really good and should be guaranteed a day 2 of Leona. Realistically, it's C tier. Don't get me wrong, she can still lose to like Renata and Jhin, but if everybody's playing more fair decks, well, suddenly she's not too terrible. Just dodge Kai'Sa. That's always going to be the same thing for Leona. Just dodge Kai'Sa, man. You're never beating them. Alright, that was Leona. Chat, who's the next one? What do we want next? Alright. Where are we at? Who do we want? Captain Teemo from the Pleb Leader. Righty then. Captain Teemo on duty. And is he going to be with the other purple blue decks? No. Is he actually better? Maybe he's secretly better. No. It's the best deck of the foot. No. Is he unplayable? No. No. Purple decks will never be truly unplayable. Teemo kind of resides within the metal card heroes. Now, why do I say that? Well, some metal card heroes are just sometimes solid decks that kind of get to do things. Ever since you can't really now play the whole Miracle package because of Cool Shock going away, Teemo's now kind of floated around in a very inambiguous, oh, I'm going to try and do this tricksy stuff, but the moment if you ever take control of both battlefields and I don't immediately reconquer back, I'm a little bit screwed. Teemo is also, very ironically, similar to Pyke in this regard, having the ban of Fight or Flight, while it nerfed a lot of other better decks in the format, it really hit Teemo hard. If you think back, or harken back to games that you played in Set 1, and if you didn't play in Set 1, Teemo was a deck that arguably was like on the fringe of being like S tier. He was more of an A tier deck. You had to work really hard for your wins. Like, there was no free wins with Teemo, rarely. But if you played really tight, you could win a lot of games. And as someone that played a lot of Teemo in Set 1, it was very rewarding to play a lot of Teemo. The problem is, as the game has gone on, holding has become increasingly more difficult. And especially, you don't want to be using a lot of resources in holding. You normally want to be into a spot where you can normally play like at most one card. And then opponents are like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. Or you kind of just go back and forth and they go, okay, I'm going to try and go in. They go, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then it's a kind of it's an exchange of things. At this point, I'm not going to be going, Teemo is like, oh my God, really, really broken. He's solid. He's fine. Realistically, though, I will be amazed if people are consistently doing anything with this. So I'm not going to be saying Teemo is like bad objectively. He's not in the good luck tier. He's still in a powerful combination of colors. And Teemo himself, especially purple Teemo, is still really good. As we've seen, a bunch of other decks started just playing Teemo as an extra hidden card in purple decks. I think this will continue to be true. 4 Might out of the blue is still really awkward for people to deal with, especially with cards like Starcrossed coming in. Suddenly you go, oh yeah, I'll bounce my Teemo back, play it again, and then people go, oh, that's really good. Purple Teemo worked good in Pyke, by the way, as well as also this. You kind of get the Teemo ability in Pyke. Problem is you don't get access to the blue cards, which arguably makes Teemo slightly better, especially in this matchup, in my opinion. But I kind of digress at that point. Teemo's fine, but I can't really in good faith put him higher. And I think Leona, by the way, has a good Teemo matchup. Just gonna say it. Volibear. Obviously, Volibear now has 3 archetypes. You have Dragon Volibear, which is fine. And if I was just basing it on Dragon Volibear, I'd probably just put him in C tier. You have mid-range Aggro Volley, which in my opinion isn't D tier. Probably like a high C tier, low B tier. And then you have Aurora. Oh, you have Aurora. Is he S tier? No, he's not the best one. Is he A tier? Nah, he doesn't really have broken, like, red units that you can suddenly play. You've got, like, one good one, but it doesn't really go higher than that. You've got one really good one in Keldgrim, and then you kind of look at it and go, I go, so what else is in red you want to play? And they go, Storm Splitter. And I go, that's a good card. What else? And they go, I get like removal and like good anti-gear stuff. And I go, okay, but what units you get? And they go, Volibear. And I go, okay, cool. Yeah, Volibear. Right. Okay, cool. You do still get to play Aurora though. Volibear, as then I will say, is better than XPE. I would argue he's better than Poppy because he actually reads as a legend. So I'm going to put him here, right next to Poppy. Right slap back down in the middle next to Poppy. He's a legend that actually will trigger a lot of the time, which means suddenly when you do play units, you're never going to be anywhere near as far down on runes, which when it does come to a mid to late game point where you are going to be starting to play things, you're actually not in such a bad spot. The other good thing about Volibear is once you do happen to play an Elder Dragon, you have a lot of ways of just pinging things or making it really annoying for your opponent. So suddenly you're just like, yeah, I don't care. I'll just play a Falling Star. Kill your backline. Elder Drake kills everything. You've got a lot of versatility. Red removal is still really good, and Volibear is the kind of Aurora deck that can actually benefit from doing it. Volibear also, as I already mentioned, has an mid-range aggro variant, which I think is sometimes better, sometimes worse. He will probably still be in B tier, even if Aurora / Elder Drake does get banned. Like, Volibear doesn't die. Volibear still stays alive in the format, and arguably is the legend that we're watching and seeing as progressively more sets come out. He's slowly getting better and better as we see more, which is actually really exciting to see, and I hope that other legends from set 1 do keep seeing that love. Leona's starting to see that love, so hopefully other legends from original set continue to see that. The Dragon deck is kind of a meme. I'm not gonna lie, Dragon Volley is a little bit of a meme. It's a very funny meme, and when you get the highs, the deck feels busted. The deck feels truly busted. You just start going, bleh. You just start making infinite dragons. It feels like you can't lose the game, and you play Elder in your deck. When you don't have everything, suddenly the deck feels really, really, really mid. So that's where we're going to put Volibear. Flat bang in B tier. Our next one is going to be Aurelia and then Ivan from Cheese Doctor. All right, Aurelia and Ivan. Okay, let's do Aurelia first. Where would I put Aurelia? Let's just have a quick gander. A quick little gander, chat. At new cards that came in for Aurelia. So, what could Aurelia play? Back Off is a real card they could be playing. Skyward Strike, it's like a card they could play, but it's just more expensive. It's just more expensive. Ali is a card that people will be playing, but it's not really for Aurelia. Nah. Scuttle Crab is a card that you could absolutely play in Aurelia. And actually, looking at your opponent's hand, it's pretty useful. What else? What else? I don't think you're going to be playing any of the rest of this stuff. Vilemore is an interesting tech card that you could potentially play on the sideboard, but I doubt it. Isolate is like a card. Starcrossed is like a card. Abandon is probably the most realistic card. Really. Existential Dread is like a card. Honestly, the card that I've seen the most for a lot of Aurelia's been playing is like Baron in the sideboard. Just because it means you get to play a massive thing and do it. But as chat's already mentioned, and they beat me to it. So honestly, credit where's credit's due. The best thing that came out in this set was Abandon Hall. When a player plays a spell, you may give a unit you control here +1 might this time. Abandon Hall was the craziest thing that came in for Aurelia. Just doing all sorts of mega punts and everything else. Aurelia is still going to be incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. So consistently strong. Meaning, in good faith, where can I put her? Well, she always used to be like an S tier deck, so has she had a crazy big fall off? She only got a battlefield, but remember, she did get a battlefield banned. So, actually, does this actually make her still really good S tier? She got a little bit of support and some versatile flexibility in sideboard cards, and maybe the main deck is still the same, but the main deck was already pretty good. She's not going to be here. She's not going to be here. Has she fallen that far? No. Is she there? Is she here? She's not S tier. She's not one of the best decks in the format. I'm sorry, guys. It's not. She's not the best thing in the world. But she is really freaking good. I'm not gonna lie. Aurelia still has a lot of game into a lot of the decks. Even the S tier deck, she might not be the best thing in the format, but in my opinion, I still think she's got a lot of versatility. Solid draws from Aurelia's where they sometimes have just the 3 to 4 pump spells, and you just go, well, if you've got it, you got it. And you have, because you're in a spot where you're in the game and you're like, well, I have to play into it and find out if they've got it. And they do it, and then you go, well, good game. They still get to play things like Rebuke. Starcrossed is a very interesting new card that they can also play now, which can very much mess you up in the right spots. They've got arguably Scuttle Crab, which I think is a better Lonely Poro, because you don't actually have to wait around for everything. Depending on the metagame, you might play both. I think it's versatile. Looking at your opponent's hand, really good for Aurelius, by the way. Just putting that out there. People won't want to proc that, but then you go, cool, I get to just keep getting points, and maybe you even kill your own Scuttlecrab. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. Aurelia is still very, very good in the format, and if you mained her in set 2, you're arguably going to be a great player in set 3. So, Aurelia's solid. Ivan. Ivan. Now, let's just familiarize ourselves with what Ivan does, shall we? Very quickly. Ivan Wreaths is yellow and green. When you conquer or hold, you may exhaust me and replace a battlefield with a brush battlefield token, which reads, Bird, Cat, Poro, Dog, Poro, and Ivan units here have +1 in brush. It can be swapped back when scored. Ultimately, it will replace, if you don't understand what that means, let me quickly get the battlefield. Brush. So you place this over the top. When you score here, you may replace this with the battlefield it replaced. So what you do is you put the brush on top. Brush basically is half the reason that you actually want to do this, because suddenly if you're against an Aurelia player and they go Abandon Hull and you go in with your random 2-drop unit and conquer, suddenly it's now brush. It is not Abandon Hull, it is now brush. Your opponent now must reconquer back, or you can reconquer back, by the way. And suddenly it's like, oh, actually, it's not terrible. You're in a good spot. Opponent's doing an amateur recital. Technically, I think this is also arguably another Aurelia card. If I think I might be wrong. I think brush then goes no. Once you're on there, you're staying there, and like it means you don't get to hold, but then suddenly all your units are more powerful. So is Ivan good? Is Ivan good? Well, he's better than Aurelia. He's better, not Aurelia. He's better than Leona. I'll say that much. Only reason he is, and I'll say it why, and I'll say it again, you get to play the best removal spell going into Aurora decks. I'm just being real here. Ivan can play Cull the Weak. You can't actually play, you can't play Cull the Weak in Leona decks, okay? If you're going into an Aurora meta, Leona fucking struggles. Ivan slightly struggles. It's still not good. It's still not good. But he's slightly better. And honestly, he has a fun time into a lot of these matchups. Now, does he like run over this? No, he's going to get absolutely smashed by a lot of these other decks. I'm sorry. He has more play to him. And I'm sure some people might be like, actually, he's a metal card hero. He's not actually true trash tier. His ability actually does something, which is nice, right? His taking over battlefields, capturing something, meaning so opponents don't get benefits, means you do actually get some games. The fact is, you're also going to be buffing your units, but it's not a symmetrical thing. Kind of like Leona, but the buff isn't permanent. But a lot of the time, as long as you own the battlefield, Ivan is technically better at holding than Leona in a lot of spots, and can play a lot of the same cards Leona wants to play, but also doesn't have to play a lot of the cards and pray that the opponent doesn't do anything. It's not the same. It's a similar archetype, but doesn't need the stun abilities to kind of get there in a lot of spots. In fairness, Leona gets to play a good signature spell. Ivan probably doesn't even play Daisy. But I'll leave that for you to figure out. Ivan's fine. I enjoyed playing him in the pre-rift. But I wouldn't say more than that. Truthfully. Ivan's fine. But anything better than that is going to be kind of cap. Yes. Honestly, if we got to do the old thing with Ivan as well, where he had the rules that you could replace battlefields fully with brush and people couldn't get them back, that could have been great. All right, chat. All right. What's the next one? We've reached the bottom. Kazakhs. All right. Get a few more in chat. I want to hear what order should we do these in? Kazakhs. Orange, purple. Orange, purple. Historically, pretty good. Kazakhs also came out with a really interesting, like, tempo aggro strategy. So he's not going to be in D tier. He's not even going to be in C tier. He's not even going to be in B tier. He's a top 8 deck. Now, I'm going to put him right between Aurelia and Lilia. Not because you play the actual aggro strategy, but because you just play blue-purple. You'll probably win combat a few times. And you get to play orange-purple Aurora. Now, the reason I don't put him any higher, and I'm not going to put him here, is because I don't actually think he's in the best decks. That's going to go to some other ones. The other reason I'm also not going to put him above Aurelia is because his legend ability, hilariously, when you're playing the Aurora decks, reads as kind of blank. You maybe get to pull a buffer unit, doesn't really change too much, or you get to pull back a unit, which is like, that's kind of fun. But it's like, a lot of the time, I just want to play, I would rather be playing Siva or Misfortune. Now, in fairness, chat, most important thing, and I do want to make this clear. Let's just pull up his Sig spell, because his Sig spell is kind of spicy. Void Assault reads, move a friendly unit, then move an enemy unit. They don't have to go to the same locations. Also, when you're going in, you're always the attacker, so your opponent is a defender. This is kind of insane. This is truly why I think Kazakhs actually has a lot more playability, a lot more play to him. Now, he doesn't get the insane signature spell that Misfortune has, but in a lot of spots, this is sometimes better, sometimes worse. You can also play Flurry of Blades and just play a bunch of Void Assaults, and then when your opponent tries to come in and kill your thing, you then suddenly go, no. And then they go, oh, crap, I now lose my temporary unit. Wink, wink towards what I'm considering talking about soon. You don't have that problem. So you get to just keep being super aggressive. Now, I wish Kazakhs wasn't forced to just playing Aurora, and I truly do. But at this moment in time, he's Aurora. Now, if you think it should be like this, that's fine. I want to live in a world where it's like this. I'd rather live in a world where it's like this. And this is just like a mid-range aggro variant, but realistically, it's like this. And I'm picking at hairs and straws here, but this is where I'm at. There's a lot of really cool mid-range aggro decks, but as a recent tweet was going around and showcasing, you should just play Aurora, which is leading to unfun play patterns. And that's just the situation we're in. We'll have to wait and see if Aurora gets emergency banned or not. And then we can reevaluate the whole metagame. But if, honestly, these two decks aren't playing Aurora, I think Kazakhs could potentially still be up in the A tier. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. Also, alright, quick one for the actual, for chat. Just about to have an ads. If you've been loving everything we're doing, I would love a follow. Ads are going to be playing for a quick ad break. If you can support the channel with a subscription so you don't get ads in the future, it is much appreciated to keep me bringing the content I bring you. Otherwise, we'll be back in a second. How are we all doing, chat, by the way, as we go on a quick little commercial break? How are we all doing? Oh my god, I've just realized that 2 of you have actually found each other in my Twitch chat. That's crazy. I love that. Catch me if you can. Alright, regular Yi will be our next one from Shield Sama. Got a few, thank you chat, appreciate it. Kai is very top of B. Playing MF Aurora build where you just swap the Sig spell is A tier. Yeah, A tier. Yeah, exactly. Do I have a catalyst I like? There's a few floating around, Chestnut. I don't necessarily have like one where I really love it. I know KK's list was actually pretty much what I've seen a lot of other builds up and around doing. But realistically, you just play like the Aurora MF list, and then you just kind of switch around a few cards, and you're kind of there. Kai is still A, if not Aurora. I think so. I think Kai definitely has like some opportunities to play. The problem is we're going into a metagame where it's dominated by Aurora, so we're just going to be there, Carrot Whiz. Who do I think is the best Aurora Legend? We'll be getting onto that one soon, but I might be agreeing with KK. Do you think Aurora could get banned? Is it indeed making unfair? We are getting into a spot where we're getting back to the Raven combo decks live, which I think at that point justifiably means they should. Now, as was highlighted by Priz, I think it was Priz. Yeah, it was Priz. Let me just bring it up. It was this tweet. There is no gap longer than 2 weeks between regionals is set for emergency bans. So I think they should honestly just kind of maybe come out with it after one thing and they just ban it. Like, I think they just come out and just do it. Oh, okay, so this is a good point. Also, when this person, why should they ban it if in the China, the meta is not controlled by China doesn't have best ofs and hasn't had any serious events yet. 120 player events that over cap and need a raffle slot aren't competitive. And I agree with that philosophy. The fact that we're not going to have this means I kind of feel like we're at a point where we're very much going to need to like have potentially UVS or Riot just step in and just go ban it. They just ban it. They just ban it. It's sad, but I think they have to. Yeah, banning Elder Drake doesn't fix the problem. It's Aurora. Elder is not the problem. It's Aurora. Aurora is the problem. But like, if they're going to keep to this idea that they will always wait for 2 weeks, they don't have any time now before events. Like, there's just no time before events for them to actually do it. Alrighty then, chat. Short little break. We are back. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you, everybody that watched the ads. Otherwise, make sure to follow the channel. All that good stuff. I do have a YouTube channel where we will be posting a edited version of this tier list over. And if you are interested, check out the YouTube channel. Otherwise, hit a follow on this channel here. Much love. Cool. Alrighty then. Praying the ban happens before Vancouver so I don't have to deal with it. I mean, honestly, I kind of get it. It might be one of those things we just have to deal with it for set 3 and then it gets banned coming to set 4. I could see that. I could truly see that. Righty then. Where are we? Regular Yi. Regular Yi. Good old Proving Grounds Yi. A staple of the format as we've all come to know and love. Where would I put this man that when you defend, get to might? It's simple. And yet we all forget about it. Is he better than XP? Yes. Yes, he is. Is he like pretty good? And like actually kind of annoying? Yeah. Is he best tech? No. He's 8. He's 8. He's bottom of 8. I honestly, I think you could make top 8 with an with a Yi. Now, why do I think he's here? Plain and simple. You get to play the Aurora package that you're already doing beforehand. Sick. Great. Awesome. Don't have to worry about a thing then. But what else? What else can you do in Yi? Well, in defense Yi, absolute best thing you can do is still play mid-range. Like, I'm not even joking. You can still play mid-range and still have all the really good stuff that Yi has been doing. He maybe dropped off a little bit, but he has so much redundancy when it comes to hold strategies. The other fact, the fact is, the mid-range strategy got better because of the tools that were in theory meant to make this better, just made this better. 2 might defending is better than 1 might and maybe being able to attack. This is always happening from the very beginning. You have to work really hard for this. You can also play Aurora. You can play Aurora. Surprise defense. Rengar, as Art just put in. Really, really annoying. Remember, if you surprise ambush in Orange Rengar, it's 8 might because you're the defender. Truly, Yi is a very, very, very powerful unit, legend ability. He got an upgrade now with the XP Yi to actually now, when, as I already mentioned, opponent attacks in, defense comes on, you can now get 2+ more might while you're doing everything else, and then pew, 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 do a bunch more damage. Elder Dragon suddenly goes to 12, and then you get to sweep a whole blimmin' board with everything. XP Yi is not the good one. You want to play defense Yi for the rest of time. And at some point that might change, but he's still really good. Am I going to put him higher than any of these? No, not really. I still think at the end of the day, Lilia has this disgustingly aggressive consistency strategy. Which honestly kind of rivals. I could see honestly going either side. You know what? I'll go either side. But the problem is sometimes Lilia sees one of her signature and it just completely blows out the Yi player if their sequencing is really bad. So that's where I'm going to kind of go with... Oh, God. I'm literally flickering between these two. These two won't change for me. These two are the ones which change. Do I? Yeah, I'll switch. I'll put Lilia at the bottom and I'll put Yi here. I think Yi is here. Streamer sleeps on Yi, but remember me. I mean, KK, I don't think you're wrong, but I think if I'm going to put Yi higher, if I'm going to put him in best tech, which I don't think he is, I then have to also put Kha'Zix up there. And I'm not putting Kha'Zix up there. And I don't think either of them are strictly better than Aurelia. I don't think they're strictly better. Like, it has to be a tier above. So I'm not. I won't. But let me know, chat, if you watched it all the way through on the YouTube video. What do you think about the tier list right now in the comment section down below? What should the hashtag be? We'll do hashtag KK. Or the timestamp KK. At KK. I don't know. We'll do something like that. If you somehow made it that far. And you didn't just skip to the end of the video to see the list and then wandered off. Alright, next one. Next one is Lee Sin. Why has the forever garbage Lee Sin suddenly now in B tier? Well, he plays the same color combination as Yi. That doesn't necessarily mean by default he's really good. It does mean though he has access to certain cards, plus Aurora and everything else, that does just make Lee Sin rather, just consistently good. Honestly speaking, Lee Sin could be either here or here, and I'm not really gonna fight you too much. The problem is it's just a bit too, like, sometimes, you know, like, think about it when we were playing purple, red pre-bans. Jinx was like, consistent B tier, almost A tier, right? Like, at some point you just look at the format and go, well, you're just playing the most broken color combination. This is just like a solid one, right? I can't in good faith not put him higher. And it's like, Pop, I'm doing this for the same reason I'm doing this. Both of them are doing kind of similar things. This signature spell is doing a lot more work than this signature spell, but it's just nothing else I can do. I'm not happy about it, but it's kind of there, man. It's kind of there. The package just kind of all comes together. Fiora. Shield Sam for Fiora. Fiora. Right, this is the only legend you will not play. You'll not play Aurora, even though you're playing Orange. Truly, you should not play. You should not play it. You will never get your unit the legend ability. I also don't think you need to. Fiora, in my opinion, is actually kind of fucking really broken. Like, actually really good. The problem is the metagame we're going into, which makes Fiora a little bit, like, not good enough. If it wasn't going into an Elder Dragon Aurora metagame, she would be, like, honestly an A tier, and we'd be considering maybe if we can figure out an S tier. The problem is, we're not going into that. We're not going into just, like, a normal metagame, are we, chat? We're going into a metagame where we are going to be dominated by a certain legend in the future, and Aurora decks. Which means, while Fiora in theory can actually have a game into the one of these legends, the Aurora decks cause some problems. Nothing that Fiora can't necessarily overcome, but is going to have to also just deal with the fact that Lilia and Irelia, well, Irelia here and Lilia here will still exist. Kha'Zix would be a really interesting matchup into Fiora. Again, though, it's just like she's close. She's so close. But the metagame we're going into is just not the environment she needs. As such, I can only realistically put her in B tier. Now, the card library that she did get access to going into this next metagame is genuinely very interesting. Drain Resolve is a damn good card, even for just +3 might. Repulse is insane now to actually prevent people from doing stuff. Irresistible Feyfolk, while I hate the card and I still say it's not good, Fiora is one of the few legends that genuinely gets to absolutely mess people up with it, right? You get to play Rengar in this deck. Like, there's so many things that this had, and we only talked about the orange. Heroic Charge is a card you can play. Don't have to, but the options of versatility. Ash, to steal things from them. You can even play things like Sacrifice, which work really well. Tactical Retreat works really well. Vi, Shadows, cool. Truly, the list of cards that Fiora got access to and the opportunity and versatility, it's just unyielding. Already consistently with the package that they had. Fiora is great. Truly great. Just the metagame we're going into. So, while I think she's got a great spot and she's going to be a really fun deck, if you only play against Aurora decks for a day, you're not going to have as much fun. Or if you play against another legend, you might have some game, but you also might just get buried. I'll let you all decide on that one. But that's Fiora for me. Yeah, do you think I'm right about Fiora or not? One second, chat. Just got to reply some messages. Alright. You did win 3 out of the 8. Yeah, but city challenges are like something you can't take too seriously, Artsky. Like, it's a best of 1 format and everything else. Like, I don't know, man. I never take that stuff too seriously. Gift sword on unsung hero, shadows cool, draw 4. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think we'll see Fiora in top 8, so A makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think a good player could maybe be an A. I don't know if you can necessarily do it in this meta, but I see where you're... I do understand. We're just hoping Aurelia was lower. Loki want to do Pike Draven duo. That'd be cool. With the bot lane special. Is there a Chinese regional tomorrow? I don't actually know. Yeah, is anybody aware? I don't actually know if there is. It should be this weekend if we're getting one. I actually have no clue. I know we saw the Lilia as the prize cards. But I don't actually know if we got... I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Chinese RQ is after Sydney from what I can see. Oh, wow. So we're actually getting it a lot later. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. All right, next one on the list is from Artsky. They're asking for Draven. Right, so we've been in the League of Draven for a hot minute. Are we still in the League of Draven? Or are we potentially moving away from Draven? Obviously, if you weren't named, well, if you are any normal player, if you weren't named Priz, right, you were playing a different purple-red legend. Though everybody else was still just playing Draven. Draven had insane amounts of stuff going for him in previous sets. So, is he still really good coming in to set number 3? Now, how much support did Draven himself get going into this new set? Well, not massive amounts of stuff. But realistically, he hasn't really dropped off. The sheer fact that his legend ability lets him draw 1 to 2 cards in a full turn cycle, maybe 3. In the absolute Neverland periods, it goes to 4. So is he still good? Yeah. Yeah, he is. He actually really is. Is he still the best deck in the format? No. Well, at least not through my understanding, conversations I've had, and other things. He's not S tier. He's actually not even S tier. He's not actually even top of A tier. Unlike his counterpart that he came into with Spirit Forged Aurelia, while Aurelia has not really changed and adjusted her deck, neither has Draven. But while Aurelia already had a pretty consistent package that when you go into an Aurora game meta, she kind of just looks at it and goes, I'm kind of okay. Draven didn't actually get much of that. Draven kind of stayed the same. And with new legends coming out, and with the new battlefields, nothing really went, hey Draven, you got better. Draven kind of just went, I'm okay. I'm okay. Now, sure, Draven has game into Lilia. Cool. Does he have game into all of these Aurora decks? No. Okay, so what does he have game into? A lot of the B tier decks. And the B tier decks that aren't Aurora, the B tier decks that aren't really Aurora, unless they're not the ones that have a lot of removal. So realistically, he has game into Poppy, game into XPE, and game into Lee Sin. Not really much game into Aurora Volley. Why? Because that mother, they're just so much pew, 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 pew. He also doesn't have the versatility of like the other red purple legend of Annie, where he can at least play just an all-in aggro strategy and then just rely on the untap phase. So, where will I be putting him? Because he's clearly not A tier. Well, he still has a good game versus Fiora. His Ezreal matchup is still fine. His Ornn matchup is now actually not good, but not bad. It's fine. Realistically, I'm going to slot Draven in B tier. He can make top. I think a lot of good Draven players, especially if you said a lot of stuff was played originally, Draven is still going to be good. If you played a lot of Draven all of set 2, you should be still very happy going into set 3, and you could play a very similar list that you've been playing, and you'll still be fine. You might sometimes beat the Aurora players because you race them, and then they play an Aurora and they see that one of Mind Splitter. Good luck beating the Elder Dragons. You're gonna need it. So, yeah. Draven's still fine. He's still good. He's still very playable. I just don't actually think Draven is anywhere near as powerful as he used to be. He's fine. But a lot of other decks got more tools, and Draven himself got, like, Smite as a sideboard card, and, like, Starcrossed, which is, like, kind of nice, and Jhin? And Abandon? But these are cards that I've already mentioned in a lot of spots are for other decks. So, I'm going to put him in here. I think he's fine. I still think he's good. I just don't think he's anywhere near as oppressive that we saw originally. Right. What's our next one? Let me just go through the chat. Alright, Pleb Leader asked for Rumble. I don't know if this was serious, but we have got Rumble to do, so we'll do Rumble. Chat, I need a few more suggestions for the order that you want. Rumble! Rumble, 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 my boy. Rumble. Where do we put you, my boy? My boy. My boy, my boy, my boy. A lot of people in chat love you, my dude. A lot of people have you as a pet deck. A lot of people want you to be good. Good luck. Good luck to my Rumble players out there. I salute you. He has more text on him than what we had for Jhin. Realistically, there's a better chance that you'll trigger this at least in more games than you'll actually do than Jhin. But Rumble, man, there was no mechs. Honestly, that's the biggest takeaway. There were no mechs in Unleashed. I'm sorry. Honestly though, Rumble is one of those legends that we can just keep watching, and every time they print a mech in blue and red, we go, is this good enough for Rumble? Is this something we can play in Rumble? Is this some type of mech synergy? We saw none, and I don't actually think there's many cards that got printed, personally from what I've seen, that realistically make Rumble better. The problem is, a lot of other decks got things that made them better, and Rumble was kind of just on the sidelines going, fuck, you guys forgot about me. So, yeah, I'm sorry. But you already had a legend ability that was kind of like, eh. And now it's like, So, good luck, have fun, and if you're a Rumble Grinder, honestly, good chance you get a metal card, because I don't think a lot of people will play him. Right. What's our next one? What's our next one? Who made this list? Wob, it's me. I'm going through. Why do I have Ornn so high? Because aggro Ornn is actually kind of busted. Lovely to see you, Wob. I don't agree fully with your takes, but I mean, hey, it's lovely to do that. Okay, let's say tomorrow they ban Aurora. Where do I see Draven? A tier. No hesitation. A tier. Yeah, he might even be S tier, honestly. But at the moment, if the meta is dominated by Aurora, like, Draven is not going to be there. He will not be there. Draven decks just cannot handle the idea of it. Especially a deck where they don't really get to ever use that legend ability, and then at that point, they're like, kind of, what are you doing? Victor from Carrot Wiz. Victor Nation. Where do we put Victor? Right. Is Victor actually Insano mode? No. No, Victor is not Insano mode. Is he A tier? Debatably. Genuinely debatably. He's not down here. He's not even a metal card hero. The debatability for Victor is really between very high B tier or going into A tier. Why is this? Well, Victor historically, and this is historically speaking, has always had a pretty reasonable time into Aurora decks. It was never like, I win against Aurora, but you're in a good spot. Now, think about it. If a lot of decks are suddenly only playing 3 units, well, my Color Week suddenly get good. And wait a moment, I'm playing yellow and blue, and I'm just expecting to only play against people that want to do Color Week bullshit. Didn't I get like another way of doing Color Week? Oh yeah! I did! I can just play a very expensive Safety Inspector. I could also play Akshan if I really want. Atakan if I really wanted to. Oh! I got some more draw. I got Shadow's cool. I could even play LeBlanc myself if I needed to for additional draw. Oh! Ha 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 ha! Personally, I'm going to actually leave him right here at the bottom of A. Victor is pretty strong into a lot of different Aurora builds. The problem is, these Victor decks, depending on how far you go into always trying to beat Aurora, you might suddenly find yourself on way too far of a curve where you have like a 65 to 70% win rate into Aurora decks. Sick! You suddenly lose to anything that isn't Aurora. If you go way too far, this Ornn deck will eat you for breakfast. It will. The Ezreal decks will have too much redundancy. You also have no Sig spell. Like, there's just so much stuff that it's like, I'll be real. This card, like, Victor is still going to have redundancy. You could still do the whole Jace and the Armory BS. You still have Imperial Decree. You still have all these great things in which you can kind of go, big units aren't such a problem. And even if you wipe my board, I can play Bellows Breath and all this other stuff and just kind of not care and continue with on my way. You could even fight through the Auroras as and when you have to, depending on your board state. Doesn't mean you necessarily always win, but doesn't necessarily mean you lose the game. I truly think, actually, that against outside of maybe the S-tier decks, Victor is very solid. If you also consider the idea of what are the rest of these, Lily is the only one I really look here that could give Victor a lot of problems. Very beatable. Very beatable, but actually a very fun matchup. Yi versus Victor. Assuming it's not if it's the mid-range variant, very interesting matchup. If it's Aurora, I give it slightly favored here. And this is also going to be a very interesting matchup. But I actually truly think that Victor just has enough tools at his disposal to be a deck that could potentially see top 8. Realistically, this is maybe I don't think the average do I think the average player could realistically make top 8? With a good run, Victor, do I think they can make top 8? I don't, yeah, maybe you're right, Artsky. The average player, the average good player probably won't be making it. Yeah, you just need to have a bit of luck. I do think you're right. Okay, so then we go into B tier. And it's like, I don't think it's a better deck than Fiora. I think it's probably, is it actually worse than Ornn? Probably, because the Victor deck never beats Ornn. This deck always beats this. I think Victor is slightly favored into Draven. But Ezreal, I think, is probably got redundancy to beat this, and Fiora doesn't give a fuck anymore. I think I think the average to good player that's playing in this thing, that has prepared for the tournament and everything, I don't think they're going to be making that deep of a run. I don't think they're going to make that deep of a run. I think I think it is. Like, the best of player could make top 8, but I don't think Victor players as a whole should be expecting to make top 8. They could make top cut with Victor. Fuck yeah. And absolutely they should hope to make day 2. Especially if they farm like a bunch of Poppies, Lee Sins, XPE, even into like Rek'Sais and Dariuses. They just have to fight through the initial onslaught, and then I think they'll be fine. And like, I do think they have game into like some of these other Aurora decks. Like these 2 decks, I think they absolutely have game into. Lilia probably absolutely steamrolls you and has so much redundancy. And I think Aurelia, you kind of have to... I think Aurelia, if you're playing the 6 Cult of Weak variant version with the Safety Inspector, I think you probably just do beat Aurelia's. Yeah, I think you can beat Aurelia's. But yeah, you do just fold to like this and this, and honestly this and this. Yeah, alright, I'll put Victor there. Righty then. KK wants Yasuo. Righty then. Right, where would I put Yasuo? What came out that made Yasuo better? Now I'm like, yeah, honestly, I forgot about Yasuo. Like, I think a lot of people did from set 1, honestly speaking. Yasuo. What cards here would we play? Yasuo. These are cards. The cards. Probably not that. Maybe, yeah. No. Isolate. Stalker. About him. The Bone Skewer, maybe? It's cards. I mean, I guess you play Purple Vex. I guess Purple Diana is also kind of good. My problem with it is, like, why? The problem comes around, right? Why would I play Yasuo when I can either play the really good version of Movement, or I can play, hint hint, a good hold deck? Why would I play Yasuo? He's got like some new interesting cards, but realistically, is any of it better? I guess this is the question, yeah. Is any of it better than what the average Aurora deck is doing? Because honestly, that's been the baseline for a lot of these decks where they're not playing Aurora, right? Like, doesn't play Aurora, but still has game. Doesn't play Aurora, but still can have a game. Doesn't play Aurora, can still have game. Can beat Aurora, well, races Aurora. Can beat Aurora realistically. Is Aurora, or sort of, is Aurora is mid-range / Aurora. Yeah, honestly, I don't see a reason. Honestly, he's a metal card. He's a metal card, man. I genuinely don't see a single way that they do it. Also, like, what Yasuo's 6-spell, man, it's like, it's unplayable. Like, let me double check. I'm not coping completely on that. Last Breath. Return a friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit. Yeah, no, dude, it's awful. Like, have you got to, like, play possessions and shit? Nah, he's here. He can be a mail card hero. He might be technically worse than some of these other ones at this point. I don't really know, man. But Yasuo just doesn't have any, like, why would we do it? In what good... I can't, in good faith, tell people that Yasuo is a good legend. I can't, and I don't think the average player that plays Yasuo, that's good with Yasuo, right? If you've mained Yasuo for 2 sets, I can't in good faith look at you and go, yeah, you should make day 2 with that. I'll probably look at you and go, good luck, mate. You're gonna need it. And if you make day 2 with Yasuo, by George, I think you'll probably get the best of. Otherwise, I don't know, man. You're probably gonna struggle. So yeah, that's where I'll go. That's where I'll go with Yasuo. Alright, what's the next one? Talking about it. Rupio bot wants a Vex. Vex, the final other green purple legend. And I've already hinted towards it. I don't think Vex is as good as Aurelia. I don't. Strictly better than Yasuo. So where would we put it? Where would I put Vex? Now, I know Vex is getting a lot of love and attention at the moment, but obviously it's very normal for the brand new legends to see a lot of play, and people are just trying to see, does the new legend fit into the metagame? If they are, okay, like, does it work particularly well? The problem is, Vex is a hold strategy going into an Aurora meta. Now, Vex is actually pretty good, and as we've already identified, Vex eats Lilia. She does. And with her new tools and certain abilities, she could even have some game. The problem is, Vex is great into almost all the other decks that don't play Aurora. It's just a fact. Shadow is great, but at this point in time, I just don't see a way. Like, has game here, absolutely smashes this, absolutely can fight through this. Very fun matchup. I've watched a Vex set match. Dude, that game was brutally back and forth. Can slow this down to potentially overcome it. Can slow this down to overcome it. I mean, there's Aurora bullshit, but I mean, it has ways. I don't think it's as good as Fiora, but I'm happy to put Vex pretty high B. These are borderline. I would say these 5 are borderline A. If I made another one, I said day 2, these ones would be top cut. These 5 would be top cut. Maybe, chat, should I do this? Should I make this D and this F tier? And should I actually have B tier being top cut, C tier day 2? Should I do that? Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, alright, we'll add another tier. Alright, so we'll go B tier top cut. Oh wait, no, this would be C tier, and this would be day 2. Why is the thing? Day 2. Alright. So I'll go... Yeah, that was right? Yes. Yeah. And this can go to green. And then this will go to... So, okay. Then this will be D, and this will be F. We're not doing E tier, we just got an F tier. It's just trash. Actually, I know what I'll do. I get the bin. I get the waste bag. Where is it? Come on, let me... That seems fair, right? Yeah, no, I agree with you. Fiora and Lee Sin are not in the same place. Like, Lee Sin is borderline should be a medal card, but realistically, it's not medal card. Alright. Yeah, I think this is a lot healthier at the moment. This looks a lot more realistic. Like, I could make top 8, top cut decks, day 2 decks, medal card heroes, and then good luck, good luck. Alright, we're good. Yeah, Vex also has Shadow, which I think is really solid, and I think a lot of the package around it is just very good. She has very good matchups, and she also has really bad matchups. Yeah. Like, I think Victor can beat Vexes consistently, but Vex also can just smash, like, Lilia and Ornn and stuff, and it's not even close. So we'll see. Alright, what's the next one? Got Vex. Let me just go... Where are we? We had a bit of a conversation. Victor auto loses to... Nah, we'll talk about them in a bit. I need someone to just say their one, Artsky. I don't disagree with you. You are right. Someone just has to request a legend. Or be the last one for us. Alright, I think I've caught up with you all. Yes. Yes. Shieldtime ask for Lux. Lux, the Lady of Luminari. Right. Is she trash like another blue-yellow legend? No. No. Is she actually, like, pretty playable like Victor? Maybe. Is she actually really good? And you should expect to do deep runs with her? No, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Lux is not going here. Realistically, Lux kind of operates in this sort of area versus this sort of area. Reason being is, let's think about the new cards that came out for Lux. You got Sprite Burst, which is like an actual really good card for Lux explicitly. Like, obviously, a lot of other decks I've already talked about are going to be playing it, but Sprite Burst came out and was like, oh, that's a 5-cost spell, which lets me draw a card, and I get 2 tokens. Which normally will trade. It's 6 might. Where's the downside? Hint is, there is no downside. Also, Quake, pretty good just unit to be playing in this to add a bunch of stuff. Pretty solid one. Not a lot of other stuff really came out. Let's just go to yellow. I mean, obviously, Shadow's cool, adds some draw, but ultimately speaking, there weren't a whole bunch of spells that came out for Lux. Now, Ruination is interesting, and I have seen a few Ruination Lux control decks being floating around, a card that can also be played in Victor. The problem is, one of the decks in the format just kind of doesn't care about it, and also gets to play it itself. So, I'm gonna be real. Lux, unfortunately, is a medal card hero. She is. She truly is. The fact is, while Sprite Burst offered so much potential, she needed like one other spell. Now this might just be the sort of thing that really allows ultimately Lux to kind of go, cool, now I actually have a full game strategy. How do I actually accomplish this? Part of this is going to come down to meta. If people are doing a lot of unit stuff, okay, Lux seems to actually be probably pretty good because you slow down the game, and then at some point you'll just bury people in card advantage. The problem is, ultimately speaking, Lux still will have the same benefits as what Victor had, and while it can do very much a good impression of Victor, Victor makes the unit. Lux draws cards. Cards are almost always better than a random unit or a recruit. The problem is, you have to play the cards, and sometimes you cycle runes, and the inherent problem of Victor, well, rather, or of Lux, is you're sometimes just a little bit slow. The other problem with Lux is obviously you kind of need her legend. The problem is the legend doesn't always get to stick around for very long, which in turn means that you kind of struggle. You can never put Lux onto a battlefield, but you can never really score any early points. And in a metagame where, guess what, your legend will get touched and will die, and your opponents will be able to continuously apply more pressure, and you're going to be kind of sitting there praying that you don't do anything that really gets their ire. The other problem is green counter, green counter, green counter. Multiple counter now in orange. Counter, 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 counter. Like, all these decks counter, counter. Like, so many of these decks have the ability to move around, make things more difficult, counter spells. Lux is just going to struggle into a metagame where there's going to be a lot of interaction and also tempo play, whereas Lux herself very much wants things to she wants to slow the game down to an absolute crawl, and then everybody starts playing again. As such, he's actually kind of gotten a little bit worse since Spirit Forge, especially post-bans, because that's when Lux was actually arguably at one of the best points she's probably been in, which is unfortunate. Sprite Burst brings a lot, but outside of that, not a whole lot. Next one, Vi! Right in the middle of Metal Card. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. God, is she actually good luck, good luck? Nah, she's like a metal card. She's a metal card. She's a metal card. She's a metal card. Okay, so let's just make sure we're all on the same page. Making sure we know exactly what we're doing. Vi reads, when you conquer, if you assigned 3 or more excess damage, you may exhaust me to ready a unit. Meaning, you always must be overkilling every single time, or it doesn't do anything. The other problem is, you are playing Hextech Gauntlets. Now, which read, this ability's energy is reduced by the might of the unit. So realistically, it's kind of like 1 might, 1 power to equip. And it gives +3 might. Pretty solid, right? When I conquer, if you assigned more than 3 excess damage, draw a card. Which then kind of goes, alright, so if this is 0, I would just draw a card. Assuming you were always trading with the unit initially. Ultimately speaking, Vi needs a lot to go right for her to even trigger her legend. Now, she does have Vi the Wind on her thing, and there are some really cool combos. The problem is, if your opponent plays kind of any interaction to you, you kind of lose on the spot. In a metagame where I believe we're going to be dominated by Aurora, where we're going to be playing against a lot of purple decks, and if it's not, it's one of the few decks that you probably have a half-decent matchup into. Well, maybe. The problem is sprites also have a way of just getting very awkward and tricksy and very big in some occasions. Just look at what Ornn does sometimes. I do worry that Vi herself is just arguably way worse Darius and Rek'Sai, which then at that point, I can't in good faith put her any higher. She's also going to, while Vi is pretty impressive, she's going to struggle here, she's going to struggle here, she probably can beat Yasuo's, and maybe it's there, but I don't know, man. I don't realistically think we'll be able to get much higher for Vi. So, Vi for me, it's going to be a metal card hero. I don't agree, KK. I think the fact that this legend ability will proc 2 or 3 times in a match, whereas you might only get max 1 of these, and it might be really good, or it might be kind of whatever. I'ma just saying. All right. Artsky asks for one of the big ones. LeBlanc. Righty then. A legend that is getting a lot of attention at the moment. LeBlanc reads, and before I put her anywhere, let's just make sure we're all on the same page, right, chat? I think that's important. We should do that. Let's go there. Let's have a look. LeBlanc reads, Card errata from Unleashed Card errata. Very good. We got the errata text. When you conquer or hold, you may discard 1 and exhaust me to play a ready reflection unit token. Then do this. It becomes a copy. Meaning, let's actually find... so reflection tokens are first played. They're a 0 might unit, which means you can gust it. After that resolves, you can then... after that resolves on the chain, it then becomes a copy of the unit. For example, imagine if we had just conquered with a yellow LeBlanc. We would then get to exhaust, discard a card. Okay. But then we make a yellow LeBlanc. We would have 6 might now at that battlefield. Which now reads, because it would die at our beginning phase, you would get to draw 2 cards. You discarded 1 to draw 2. You also had 6 might at that unit. And by the way, it's also, or when you hold. Beginning phase, trigger, lose LeBlanc, draw 2 cards, tap, discard 2 cards, make another LeBlanc. Oh yeah, it's real. Oh yeah, Mummy's here to play. LeBlanc is arguably one of the best decks coming into this format. She's absolutely busted. I'm not even joking. Truly an insane legend that has been printed. Yellow-blue was always kind of in that, oh my god, really good spot. Like, Victor decks have always floated around, like, higher tables. Lux decks have, like, struggled, but there's been more. Let's not talk about Renata. She doesn't exist. LeBlanc has so much going for her. Now, a lot of people, I can see in chat, people are going, yeah, but you can play Karthus. Karthus makes it really over the top. You don't need the Karthus to win the game. You can win the game without the Karthus. The Karthus just makes it even more consistent, insane redundancy, and another must-kill threat. The LeBlanc decks have so much must-kill, and while it wasn't built out the way I was expecting, I always thought LeBlanc was going to be a busted legend. I was right by her being an absolutely busted legend. She's insane. She's truly an absolutely broken deck. Being able to go turn 1 Watchful Sentry. Cool. Untap. Watchful Sentry. Make another one. Now I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to replace this one that I'm doing, and I'm just going to start building this redundancy very quickly. If I ever play a Karthus, I'm going to get even more cards going, and I can go off. And if my opponent wants to come in, cool. I get more cards. I then have more options to figure things out. There's so much good that this deck does. And there is so many other things that other decks have to find to normally answer it. Now, do I think it's the best deck in the format? No. But she's up there. Truly, she's up there. Hello, Orzov, and hello, Card. I'm sorry, I've been just so going on. And Razor, hello, everybody. Had to stop in. And brag that I'm in. Okay. All right. I am Orzov. How you doing? Lovely to see you as always. Wow, you're just in paradise. All right, fair enough. Must be nice. Can I explain why Diana is so low? Going into an Aurora metagame, you can have game into Aurora, or you can have game into the other decks, but the current builds of Diana are typically struggling into doing both, ultimately speaking. You can beat one, but you can't beat both. She also has pretty polarizing matchups sometimes. So at the moment, until we find... honestly, Diana will probably be a deck that can rise once the metagame has stabilized and we actually know everything. But at this moment in time, it's going to be really hard. Truly, it's going to be really hard. All right, Silent Storm wants Annie. All right. Annie, arguably one of the best decks of Spirit Forge. I played her a lot, and obviously I won a lot with Annie. Priz, obviously, a way better player than me, won back-to-back regional qualifiers, and had a top 8. No, he didn't win back-to-back. He had finals back-to-back, won one of them. Like, honestly, Annie has been an incredible standout. So where am I going to put it? Am I going to put it with Draven because of the ability? Not a very bad thing. Do I think she's even maybe better than Draven? Perhaps. She is better than good luck. She's definitely, you would expect if you're half decent to do better than maybe scraping in best of standings. Day 2, I think you could be argued that making day 2 is a reasonable assumption with Annie. So do I think she breaks into this higher tier? Well, I do think she's better than Ornn. I think she's actually better than Draven because of the untap. Ezreal, yeah, I would say so. Vex, you still have rebukes and stuff. Not such a free matchup. Could be very awkward, but not unlosable. Fiora, well, that was a matchup that we kind of had slightly favored beforehand, and while Fiora did get a lot of extra things, and the new counterspell in orange definitely makes things a lot more awkward, not unwinnable. It's not unlosable. Do I think she's better than some of these Aurora decks? That's where we hit a little bit of a weird one. I think Annie players should reasonably be expecting to be between here. Where do I want to put Annie? You know what? I'm going to slot her right next to Draven. But above or below, she's better than Ornn. Do I think Annie has a better... I think Annie will do slightly... At this moment in time, I think Annie is slightly better than Draven. Yeah. And part of this reason is just being able to have the untap. Not even, like... truly, the untap is going to trigger more than draw in an Aurora metagame, right? Now... How is Annie's matchup versus LeBlanc? I'm not gonna lie, it's fucking awful. Like, we just cry ourselves to sleep. But Annie still has a lot of game into a lot of other decks. Beats Aurora. Like, actually can beat Aurora decks. You just spear out, you go hyper aggressive, you kind of do very much what this and this do, but arguably in this kind of area. And then you just look at your opponent and go, cool. Play your Elder Dragon or Aurora, that's fine. If you don't hit that immediately, by the way, if you happen to hit your random Mind Splitter, I actually probably just win the game immediately. I get to play Rebuke and a lot of other things. Honestly, it's better. The moment you go against LeBlanc, you cry. You can beat Aurelia's for sure. These are matchups you can win. These are matchups you can also win. So, Annie is slightly better in some spots, slightly worse in other spots. That's why I think she's honestly a deck. If you're highly proficient with Annie, you can make top cut. Truly. Better than that, you've got to be Priz. I'm not going to lie. Just be one of the best players in the world right now. What else do you want me to say? I do agree with you, Shield Sama. Like, Ashe seems to be an amazing way to stop win cons until people actually get going. Yeah, and it will be played in these kind of decks. I also think Ashe can be played in LeBlanc decks, by the way. Chat, ads are going to be playing. If you don't want ads, consider subscribing to the channel. A follow goes out a long way. That you know that I like that. So I know that you like this content. Yeah, Downwell could be a very interesting one. Annie is mid. Yeah, that's where I got it. I still... Okay, what have you all been talking about during this ad break? You think... Oh, I don't think I mean, I can understand why you think it's overrated. I still think she's the best thing, or one of the best things you can be doing. Is he about to say Garen's the best deck? No, I'll at least tell you that one. We already have a orange-yellow legend that currently is textless in most spots. Kind of similar to this boy. I think you can argue Annie over Ezreal because it's easier to play optimally. Maybe, but I also think like players that are going to play Ezreal like are going to be trying to go for like top cut or better, right? Like if you're a good player, you want to go up to that point, right? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, I think Annie is better into Aurora, Draven is better into the rest of things, but I don't actually think Draven is better than Annie into Aurora. So it's kind of like, pick your poison of which one you'd rather see, right? Oh, yeah, we can play some games. I'm gonna finish this tier list, obviously, and then we can play a game afterwards. How does that sound? I owe you a few. And if anybody's thinking, why do I owe them a few? Exclamation mark game. You want to play me on stream? Each paid sub earns you one game against me on TCGA. Or you can send me a deck and I'll give it a quick on-stream deck review. Otherwise, though, I now offer coaching, if you are interested in that. Wait, why does that not work? What? Did I just not spell that right? Where is that? Oh, it's coaching. Oh my god, I'm terrible. What does my title say? Oh, it's exclamation mark coach. Alright, I should just change that command to be coach. Yeah, I'm just gonna update the command to be coach. That would make way more sense. Also, Aurora is just auto loses sometimes if it makes that. Yeah, no, agreed. Alright, I'll be back in 2 seconds, chat. 2 seconds. Alright, where were we? Right. Cat. We're up on the list. What is next? What would you like me to review next? We've got Jinx, Kai'Sa, Misfortune, Garen, Sivir, Lucian, Azir, Jax, and Rengar. What would you like next? Alright, Rengar first and Jinx. Continue saying chat so I know I've got the list up so I can see it. Keep saying names and I can go through. Alright, Rengar. Rengar, just so we're all on the same page, as I've been doing a few times, as I've done a few times before. 4. Let's very quickly go over and have a quick look at Rengar. Rengar reads, when you play a unit, give a unit +1. It doesn't have to be that unit. It's give a unit +1 might this turn, and has a very, very good signature spell, which I will actually highlight. Banish friendly unit, then its owner plays it to a battlefield, ignoring its cost. Meaning, if you play a little card like Bryn here, you get the play trigger again. Will you do that? I don't really know. I've seen some Rengar decks doing it. I think it's a little bit memey. It seems like more of a sideboard thing, but it's a funny way of getting the Lilia thing of being able to completely stop people from playing spells on their own turn, or just cards on their own turn. Which against certain decks, it just absolutely kills them. Especially if they put anything on the chain, you can just reaction speed to it. So that's fun. Now, ultimately, Rengar really wants to just be doing the whole ambush thing. Orange Rengar is arguably the best thing you can be doing, but as I've already mentioned, I think it's better in the mid-range package that's actually being played in Yi. So Rengar, where do I actually put him? Well, he's red-orange, right? So you can, in theory, play a very similar deck what Volibear's doing, right? You can just play Aurora and then kind of just play a bunch of the removal. Now, he would be strictly worse than Volibear at doing that sort of thing. Why? Well, Volibear gets to ramp and at least keeps a lot of your runes going. You're just going to be spending a lot of runes. And you're not going to be playing a whole bunch of, like, ambush stuff if you're going for Aurora. Because you're just going to be playing an Aurora build. Now, do I think you explicitly have to play Aurora with Rengar? Well, no. And as I mentioned when I talked about Volibear, Volibear kind of has 3 flavors of aggro mid, well, more of a mid-range build, which I actually think Volibear overtakes Volley in. You have Dragon Volibear. I don't think that exists, honestly, realistically speaking, for Rengar. And then you have Aurora, which I kind of think Volibear kind of slightly takes the cake. Now, ultimately speaking, do I think it's better than Poppy? Yes. Do I think it's better than Darius? Debatably in a lot of ways. The problem is, it's like, I don't necessarily think the Dragon version is better in Rengar. I do think his more mid-range ambush strategy is better than Volibear's. Like, I do, just straight up. But I don't think his Aurora build is much better. I actually think it's slightly worse. It's rather sad that I basically have to go, well, the decider is Aurora, and I'm going to give it to Volibear at this moment in time. If Aurora gets banned, though, I do, because the whole format changes kind of massively, I am expecting, personally, for Rengar to go up in the tier list. But as it currently stands, Rengar is going to be a C-tier deck. I would expect good players to make day 2, right? Good players with Rengar will make day 2. Could they make top cut? Sure. Do I think they'll go any higher than that? It really comes down to the fact that I think, arguably, the signature spell is really, really, really powerful. And if you could play it in... And you can play it in Aurora, right? Flickering in and out your Elder Dragon, suddenly killing a bunch of stuff again, and also making it very difficult for our enemies, if they don't immediately play their own Elder Dragon, to actually kill. It's actually really, really, really good. It's like... Dude, I don't know. Maybe it's like this. I don't know. I don't really have too much skin in this game. I'm gonna put it like this. You know what? I'll put it like this. But I'm not going to put it any higher. I don't think I can realistically put it any higher than, like, God, like, maybe, is it above Rek'Sai? No. Maybe the aggro variant, actually, you know what? I'll give mid-range Rengar slight edge here. So I'll go here, but I don't think it's necessarily better than Diana or anything. Yeah, that's where I'll put it. That's where I'll put it. That's where I'll put it. I don't think I can go much further. We'll do that. We'll do that. The Sig spell is doing a lot of lifting, in fairness. I don't think it necessarily starts to get better than, like, some of these decks above here. I definitely don't think it's better than, like, Ornn or anything else. So, yeah. I'm not going to go much higher. I think Rengar is, like, still solid, right? I'm still saying it. You can make day 2 with Rengar. I don't necessarily think you could make top cut consistently unless you're the best of. But yeah, you'll be fine. Alright, Jinx. How bad is she now? Yeah, alright. So Jinx is better than Pike. I think she's better than Teemo. I think she's better than Ari. Is she? She's better than Pike. Because you can build Jinx in a way that you... Is she? Is she? Oh, God. Let me think. Dude, I just by default put Jinx in garbage tier. She is better than Pike, because you can actually build a deck that actually does something, rather than the Pike decks which actually don't do anything, because you have to do so much to make Pike actually usable. Yeah, I'm gonna put her here. Yeah, I'm gonna put her there. I do not think Pike is... I think she's slightly better than Teemo, and slightly better than Pike. Because I think Pike is just kind of a bad deck in the grand scale of things. I don't think Jinx is a particularly great deck, but I think honestly, while Pike decks are going to have to just do their whole other thing, I think Jinx decks are just going to kind of play like bad Draven and Annie decks. And if that's what you're doing, your deck's probably just gonna be half decent in 9 times out of 10. Now, obviously, if you had a bunch of other stuff to help it, Pike probably gets better. So I think I would probably put Pike better than Jinx. But at this moment in time, I don't know, man. Yeah, I'd put Jinx like there. She's not truly garbage, but I really don't think people are doing it. And if you want to play like, if you play Pike, because I can see chat, and if you play your Pike deck like it's a Draven deck or an Annie deck, you're like never doing anything with the hero ability. Which at that point, just play fucking Jinx, man. I don't care. And the signature spell's garbage. Pike's Sig spell is not that good. If you are working so hard to make it good, I'm just gonna be real, man. You're working so hard for a Sig spell that is worse than just poppies. I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna be real. Pike Sig isn't good. Right. Lucian. All right. An ever-present... Sorry to tell you that you are wrong, but Draven is... well, we'll see. I mean, we have to see. Blue. Aurora needs to get banned. Once Aurora's banned, sure, we can go back to that, but we gotta get there. We gotta get there. Lucian. The ever-present top cut, borderline, top 8 deck. Is he still here? Is Lucian still a top tier deck? Is he on the cusp of being really good, or is he not? I'm really sorry to say, but like Lucian is like a borderline day 2 deck. Now, the problem for me with Lucian is the ever-present fact that LeBlanc just eats Lucian. The other problem is Aurora decks just eat Lucian. So at that point, we can't really do a build the whole general and win the game. So what are we doing, my dudes? Also, Lucian is very much on the whole idea of playing one explicit strategy. Unlike his counterparts in Red-Orange of Volibear and Rengar, he only has one mode, and it's play gear, and equip, and make a whole big thing, and do that. He, unlike these, where you could potentially be 3 different decks, he doesn't do that. He also can't beat Rek'Sai, right? He just can't. Rek'Sai is just going to have so much card and everything. Plays card of the week, plays card of the week. Oh god, I'm going to get in trouble with this, but Lucian is just a day 2 deck, and I'm not even super sure about it, man. Oh lord, it's not good. I'm sorry to say. But Lucian's kind of fine. We're not in the metagame for it. We're just not. This is not Lucian's meta. Now, if Aurora gets banned, Lucian absolutely climbs in some spots. Absolutely. The new counterspell also does massive listing for Lucian, right? Is it all going to be enough to get there and be consistent enough? I don't think so. And you've also, if you're going to do this, you've got to make sure you can still have game versus the hyper-aggressive aggro decks. I just don't see it, man. You can't play Aurora realistically in Lucian. And if you are doing Aurora, you're not doing anything. Whereas at least Volibear still reads as something. Yeah, there's no way you're beating aggro Darius decks half the time with their Calder Weeks and everything else. Like, maybe you could go, like, here. I don't, nah. Actually, I think, by the way, I think Poppy needs to be lower. I think Poppy needs to be here. Yeah, I put Poppy here. Maybe Poppy here. Actually, I'll put Poppy here. At best, you're getting 1 draw. Yeah, at best, you're getting 1 draw. This is... Maybe it's slightly better than that. Yeah. Yeah, Lucian's here. Lucian's here. Lucian is just... You're going to make day 2 if you're a really good player, but otherwise, getting above that's going to be a rough. I'll say it. I'm sorry. I know people don't like it. It's the case. This one... That's probably going to get me in trouble on Twitter, but it's fine. Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa. Daughter of the Void, an ever-present S-tier deck. Where does Kai'Sa sit? Now let's just very quickly have a look and see what cards did Kai'Sa get coming into Unleashed. So she got things like Smite, Upstage Comedy. These are okay. Like, this is free removal. Okay, cool. She also got something like Jhin. Jin's pretty playable in her. You could even play Rengar if you wanted to. I don't know if I would, but you could. She's got the new Pikes. That's interesting. It's interesting. Eclipse is a genuine card, and like, yeah, it's like kind of worse, but like predicts kind of nice. Sprite Burst is a card. Crescent Strike's an actual card because it's just 3 in Kai'Sa and it kills a bunch of stuff, so it's actually kind of versatile, right? Now, outside of that, wasn't really too much. But Kai'Sa decks were always like kind of already just really good and consistent. Now, Sprite Queen's an interesting one because you could definitely play this in the top end and have just consistent as opposed to playing Watcher. It's a bit slow to start, but like very quickly can be one of those cards that's very hard for people to play. And if you just keep this in your base, opponents might just be like, crap, I can't kill this, and just constant sprites from a Kai'Sa player is really annoying. Riftbound is also a card that Kai'Sa players could potentially look to be playing around with in their sideboard or even their main deck and look to side it out as and when inside of matchups. Kai'Sa has always been pretty good. Where is she? Ah, she's up in S. Would I put her in S? No. Would I put her in garbage tier? No. Would I put her in Metal Card Hero? No, she's better than that. Would I put her in day 2? Actually, I think she's better than that. Would good Kai'Sa players, could they potentially go even better than Top Cut? Yeah. Yeah, they can. So, whereabouts do I put Kai'Sa? I'm going to put Kai'Sa right above Lilia. Yeah, do I think she's better than Yi? Yeah. I'll put her here. I'll put Kai'Sa in A. While there wasn't a huge amount of new additions for Kai'Sa, the base of Kai'Sa was still pretty good, and the 1 or 2 additions that she did get just means she goes, cool, I have slightly more options for my sideboarding strategy. Truly, honestly speaking, while not a lot of stuff actually came in for her, Kai'Sa was already so good in some spots. You could look to do Hui if you really want to do that sort of thing. Sprite Queen, as I already mentioned, is a card. Sprite Fountain, Diana, Pike, Clips, Upstage Comedy, even Downstage Dramatics, right? Or Sprite Burst, Crescent Strike. There are just like a Smite. There are just enough cards where, depending on a metagame, Kai'Sa decks can just be slightly adapted. And guess what? Playing consistently good removal is really good. It's really good, man. So why not bother? Why not? Why not? Kai'Sa's still good. Her game's plan is still decent. We'll see, man. Jonah Clan, yo, welcome. First time chatter. Sprite Fountain plus Detonate is interesting. That is, yeah, and that's something that Kai'Sa could do. These other ones can't. It's a lot, but it is kind of interesting. You get a bunch of power. Yeah, you can discount it a little bit with Kai'Sa. Yeah, I can see that. All right, chat. What's our next one? Siva, and then I need some more. Siva. Righty then. Siva. Orange, purple. When you pay power, you get gold. Is that how she reads? God, it's been a while since I played against a Siva player. Partly because I played against them a bunch at the very beginning and then never played them again. When you recycle a rune, you may exhaust me. So it's only 1 rune. You may exhaust me to play a gold gear gold token exhausted. When 1 or more enemy units die, ready me. All right, so there's a bunch of ways of like tapping, untapping. Siva's always had like an interesting way. On the Hunt obviously lets you do very strong things. Obviously, there was like some people that played like Siva decks that were just bad misfortune decks, and they kind of did their own thing. The thing is, because of the amount that you can trigger it, I'm not going to put it in S. I'll be honest, just like Kha'Zix, where I was like, actually, I think Kha'Zix is pretty good. It's the same reason I'm like, I think Kai'Sa's really good. I actually don't even think Siva is actually better than Kha'Zix. Reason being is the gold doesn't actually accelerate you, it decelerates you, right? It just means in later turns you actually can just use that as opposed to the runes. You basically get 2 power per rune if you only play 1 power for something, right? When you recycle the rune. But otherwise, it's not really that good. The signature spell, in my opinion, from Kha'Zix is strictly better by being able to move things around and actually decide on how and when things will go down. Siva's is, I get ready. Cool. In some spots, that's really good. Some other spots, it's kind of whatever. So, it's still orange-purple. It still is the best color combination for Aurora. That doesn't necessarily mean it's better. It's still good. The legend ability is like sometimes used and you get a bunch of gold, but that's kind of like just doing a weird impression, and actually arguably bad impression of Volibear. It's just you get the better colors because you get to play purple stuff. So this is where I'm going to put her. She is a very, very, very good deck. I still think Aurelia is slightly better, but it's super close with these. So, chat. We've got 4 left. What order are we doing? Misfortune, Garen, Jax, and Azir. What are we doing, chat? What is the order? Alright. Alright, so Azir, then Garen. Hello, new chatter, my blue. Lux can get top cut. Yes! Yeah, like a really good player could potentially get top cut, but I think your average player that's like okay at the deck, realistically their expectation is probably scraping like 5-3 at best. Realistically, I in good faith could not tell Lux players that they're going to make top cut consistent. Like there is a good chance they can make top cut if they work really, really hard. I think realistically they're going to get there. That's the placement, and that's how I do it. Original snack. Why didn't you put Ezreal or Diana in top tier decks? I mean, Ezreal's got top cut. That's top 64, right? To have a really deep run, you need a little bit of luck, and I also think the metagame that we're going into is just not super favored for either of them. Really, sadly, that's just the nature of where we're at. All right, Azir, obviously a breakout deck, yellow-green. We've got 2 yellow-green decks currently sitting in Metal Card Heroes. Not good spot. Azir, obviously, we saw winning and having some very strong performances across the last few events in Spirit Forged. Now, do we think necessarily that's going to be the same sort of thing? No. Now, Azir did actually get a little bit of help when we consider things, right? He did get the brand new gear. Where was it? It got Soul Sword, right? Soul Sword, while you're probably never getting the additional 1, it is a 1-for-1, which does build the deck to be a little bit more consistent. Ali is actually a card that could also potentially see some play if we're seeing a lot of interaction stuff, so it's not actually in a terribly bad spot. Back Off is also a card that people could potentially be looking to play. You also now have the Shepherd's Heirloom, which is a card potentially you could look to play if you wanted to. I don't think you need to, but Shadow's Call is that additional draw. You're already using 9 times out of 10 Thingy Blade, Hidden Blade to actually kill your units, 9 times out of 10 to just draw more cards. Suddenly, now you don't even have to. You can actually use it as to kill your opponent's stuff or to do your own thing. You're in a good spot. Plus with Sacrifice also being a card, an option open to you. You could even look to play LeBlanc if you really want to, but you're probably not doing that realistically. Ultimately speaking, Azir got a few extra cards that kind of make the deck a little bit more consistent. So, where should I put Azir? Well, he's not garbage, and he's better than the Metal Card Heroes. Though he's not one of the best decks in the whole format, and I do think he's got some rather polarizing matchups in the A tier. So, realistically, do I think he's better than the average Day 2 deck? Yeah, I would absolutely say he is. He is now far more consistent than most of the Day 2 decks and will do its game plan very well. Is it a top cut deck or a top 8 deck? It's not a top 8 deck. I just don't think... I don't think the average good Azir player can realistically play Azir going into this metagame and expect to make top 8. Like, if they play really well and they get a little bit lucky, that they can make it. That was already the case originally with Azir, and some guy got lucky and never played a bad matchup. There are still bad matchups for Azir. Does that necessarily mean Azir can't just, like, win in the right spots or get lucky? Yeah, sure. I would also not want to tell people out there that you can play Azir and you'll win. We'll see. Ultimately speaking, he is a top cut deck. I think a good Azir player that has a half decent run out of regionals could absolutely make a deeper run. Now, whereabouts in the top cut? I don't think Azir is better than Fiora. Azir is going to struggle into Vexes, in my opinion. Arise basically gets completely nullified by a purple Vex on a battlefield. Control Ezreal decks are probably... it's probably around here. Probably around here, but realistically, he never had a great spot into Draven. Do I think... I think it's here. I think Azir is a top cut deck that can beat or have an interesting match into Ornn. Might get flattened by Ornn, by the way. Like, might get absolutely fully flattened. At the same time, I think it's also probably a spot where they can play it. Obviously, red deck, so they can obviously kill all gear, which can make things very awkward. But Azir's good. Azir, honestly, it's hilarious that the two decks that kind of need their gear to survive. I'm like, yeah, I can't put them above the red decks, but they're good. They're good. Yeah. Yeah. I feel pretty happy with saying Azir is a top cut deck that got some good new additions that, if Aurora gets banned, could be genuinely a top 8 deck. But as it currently stands, I don't think I can realistically, in good faith, put him any higher. Yeah, I think that's a fair place to put him. Also, Anki the Forbidden One. Yo, thank you, my dude, for the follow. Welcome, welcome, my dude. Love it. Oh, Anarchy, the Forbidden One. Is Diana really that bad? Diana is a day 2 deck. I don't think she's that bad in the grand scale of things. I think you consider that she is above over 50% of the meta, and I think there is a bunch of playability for her. I don't think Diana's bad. I do get that it looks like she is a lot worse, but you also have to understand we're going into Aurora meta, which is something from personal experience, I've not been a huge fan of Diana into those matchups. I don't think it's unwinnable, but at spots I don't think it's not great. You can sometimes just get through with a Hui, but like other times I'm like, man, I wish I was just doing anything. I think there are also certain, like LeBlanc, by the way, is like really hard. So yeah, no, I mean, Azir has a great matchup into the Aurora decks, but anything that isn't the Aurora decks, I think he can sometimes struggle into. That's also at this same kind of level. So that's why I'm putting him this low. Like, I don't rate the matchup here. This is a 50-50 at best. I think it's slightly losing, actively losing. Sure, he can beat this unless they see their blast. I think Azir and this is 50-50. Probably not winning here. Well, maybe. It's rough. I don't know. I also think, like, some of these green decks, right? They get to play Scuttle Crab, which just makes this worse. I'm also putting it, like, I think it's reasonable. I'm sure some people will be like, I want a bit higher. I want it to be lower. I think it's fine. Oh, I think it's fine. Right. What was our next one? I went on a bit with that one. Garen. Garen goes right next to Poppy. We can switch this around. I don't mind. Garen is worse than Poppy, but Poppy. Why? Aurora. Yeah. Literally a textless legend. Kind of like Poppy, but Poppy probably gets to draw you a card. This never does a thing. But Aurora. It feels like we're back in the detonate format where it's like, oh, you're red purple, you're probably just good by default. It's like, oh, are you able to play like combos like that or do like really gross purple stuff? Oh, you're probably just good. We're now not in that meta anymore, so now it's like, oh, you get to play Aurora, you're just good. There we go. These are all Aurora decks, by the way. Well, these three are 100%. This is like maybe something. This is like one of the only orange decks that isn't Aurora, as is Fiora. Problem is, I don't think Lucian didn't get anywhere near the support, and Fiora was always on the cusp already. Lucian arguably got a little bit worse, and if you consider that these decks are gear decks, At least these play counter spells to stop the gear. This doesn't. Outside of like one, but like, yeah, Thermal Beam still completely wrecks you, whereas these ones can potentially counter Thermal Beam in the right spots. Okay, chat. The final countdown. The final two. We have Jax and Misfortune. You've called the order all the way. What are we doing, chat? What's the order? going to be funny, because one of these is painfully obvious, and one of these I'm not even sure where I'm putting him. Where the blimey heck am I putting him? How am I doing this? Alright, KK wants Jax. Get the Giga Chat. Right. Jax. How and where and what do I do with him? Okay. Jax is green-orange. And you can play Aurora. And his mid-range variant is a deck. Is it a good deck? I don't know. Okay, so he's by default day 2 because you can just play Aurora. And he's in green-orange, so he by default goes above these two, which literally are textless cards in arguably a worse combination. I will put him... I'll put... God, do I put him here or here? Okay, by default, he's above Lee Sin. He's above Lee Sin because he actually has a deck that isn't just really awful. So, and he has a legend that's kind of like useful in spots. So then, getting this as like one of the promos is like just... Why are we getting Lee Sin centered? Really? That's the one we're getting? Ugh. Do I think it's better than XPE? No, and I've got a reason. This one's a better Sig spell than this. There you go. There you go. It's a better Sig spell. That's how I'm deciding it. I think Jax has a slightly worse signature spell if we're building Aurora. And then if we're talking blank, I think blank it's probably like this, but then if we go back to Aurora, it's the other way around. So I would put it like this. I will put it like this. I think the signature spell in Aurora for Yi is slightly more powerful than this. So yeah, I would go like this. I would go like this. I would go like this. Alright, chat, we've left me with one, and it's Misfortune. And I think you've done this on purpose, and I like that. So thank you, chat, for the content, It's the best freaking thing in the format, man. Like, there's just nothing else to do or say. Like, Misfortune, Aurora Misfortune is currently the most truly, I haven't felt the power level of Aurora Misfortune since I played Detonate Draven. I'm not even lying. Detonate Draven was the same sort of, or slight like mid-range Draven, Detonate Draven was the same, pre-ban obviously, is the same sort of like absurdity that I have experienced with Misfortune. Aurora Misfortune is just a stupid deck, and I would like low-key argue that LeBlanc, while very, very, very hard, is also very much up there. Now, I do understand where you guys are coming from, going like, yeah, Artsky going, I'd rather play against 5 rounds of Detonate Draven than 1 round of Aurora MF. I disagree. But I understand why you think that. Because a Detonate Draven, it had a fail rate, right? And you could watch it. The problem is, I don't like it when my opponent sits in there and plays with themselves for a good hour while I sit there and just do like 2 things. I don't like watching people jack off. It's not a kink for me. Now, if that is, great for you guys. At least Aurora MF, 9 times out of 10, my opponent just kind of slams things down and the game kind of happens. That's what I'm more into. I'd rather just people like just kind of do their thing and kind of we sit and they go, can you beat this? And I go, nope. And I scoop up the cards and then we go, oh, okay, next one. Instead of the Detonate Draven player who's just kind of like, just constantly flickering cards. Like, that's not what I'm into. It's not. Just not. But the reason like this is so much higher than these two is because ganking and giving a unit ganking is very, very powerful. Being able to play things like Biomor's Lair and other things, but also being able to have one unit at a battlefield and just having it flickering across makes things very difficult for your opponents. It means that certain battlefields just don't even matter to you. You're playing the best color combination. You get to play things like Sabotage into all the other stuff. It's just, the deck's so consistent. You have so much draw now with all the new purple cards that came out. It's stupid. The deck's stupid. And if anyone at Riot has gotten to this point, can we ban it? Just like Detonate Draven, I wasn't enjoying the play patterns. And while I've just gone, I'd rather one over the other, I still don't want to play it. I still don't want to play in a metagame that is around it. So I'll be honest, man. I don't. The only, like, if we have to do, if the only thing that slightly rivals it is this shenanigans, and then these two are just insane because of just, like, by proxy of the color combination. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? But, chat, let me know your opinions. If you're watching over on YouTube, thank you so much for watching, for getting this far. What's your opinion on this tier list? Let me know in the comment section down below. With that all said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Alright, chat. What do you think about the tier list? Also, thank you for 470 followers. That's crazy.